don't let go. Because I know a fire burns inside of you, and I would jump into the flames, just to burn with you. There's so many days where I like to scream and say that I'm doing just fine, like a picture in a broken frame, like a picture in a broken frame. So now that I can say exactly what you need, I know you want to leave, and you can't stay here with me. So just let go. Oh, so just let go. Because I know a fire burns inside of you, and I would jump into the flames, just to burn with you. I know a fire burns inside of you, and I would jump into the flames, because I know a fire burns inside of you, and I would jump into the just to burn with you. Come on, get up. Get up, get up, get up. I'ma show you everything I got inside. I won't give up, never backing down. This is my fight. Come on. How do you live when every finger's pointing in your face? How do you give your heart to something only you embrace? How do you put your mind to something that you love? When you were growing up, everyone told you that you were good enough. Good enough will work for me instead of love. You hurt me deep, broke my trust and watched me bleed. Ignore my reasons, squash my dreams. Everything hiding underneath is coming out for you to see. The screens get pitted down beneath the broken spirit. I'm finally free. Get up, get up, get up. I'ma show you everything I got inside. I won't give up, never backing down. This is my
Hello, everybody, and welcome as we're getting into stage 4 of the Elite Challengers season, especially with Europe obviously focused first and foremost. My IHOLDSHIFT with me, Enigma, and boy, we've got storylines literally all over the place for this stage, not just in Europe, but also in North America. But our main focus to start things off, a little bit of Battle of Spain going on. We've got Team WaR going up against Los Pepes. Should be a pretty good one.
It should indeed. You are right. Battle of Spain. I think 6 Spaniards in here, my last
Yep.
count, and a Belgian as well. So a very good mix of players indeed from all across Europe, really showing the kind of talent that we're getting in from all sorts of regions. But also, I think that one of the storylines here is that the Pepe's side, Los Pepes, I do think that there was a bit of controversy surrounding their qualification. My Twitter timeline was relatively busy
It
when they
was.
went through. And yeah, I think we're going to see a couple more storylines come straight out of this game.
Yeah, both of these teams did qualify to get into this spot, which is kind of weird to say and important to say because Team WaR in the past has just automatically generated their spot based on getting to the playoffs almost every single stage. That was obviously not the case for the last stage, had to re-earn their qualification. And how about it? On their path to qualify, they actually did lose to this Los Pepes squad. So Team WaR had to actually battle a pretty lengthy lower run just to get here into the first place. But they went through a number of really great teams. And so obviously very well earned and merited their spot here. Let's take a look over at the map set, though, just before we get started here for this best of 5. We'll also be looking at a separate best of 5 kind of simultaneously. But for this one, we're going to be getting a checkmate hardpoint, a raid, search, and destroy, and at least a checkmate control to open things up. And I'll say this much, for Team WaR, we were kind of looking at this squad, maybe a bit perplexed at the beginning when this wasn't known as Team WaR. They were Rams, and even before that, just kind of a no-name, kind of mixed match when it comes to what their team name actually was. But Nvidian has swapped off to play the coaching role now, and in his place, Yako is actually stepping in. So we had a couple of questions maybe when they first formed to who was going to run that WaR. Were they going to be a little bit weakened up in that long-range battle? Didn't seem to be much of the case. Lucky and Metals have been doing pretty darn well with the double AR setup.
They have indeed. And I think one of the things here is that, I mean, Nvidian's a fantastic player. It's a shame to see him put himself into that coaching spot or whatever did occur there. But I do think that WaR did lose their way a little bit. They were great at the start of the season, started to fade off throughout the season. One of the things that we constantly talked around was they lacked that aggression, that swarming presence that they seem to always have at the start of the year. And that can happen, right? You have meta changes. Sometimes players lose their confidence. Other teams figure you out, those sorts of things. But bringing Yako in here, who was fantastic on Mavericks and the other versions of that team, I do think that now you've got yourself 2 very, very forward pressing ARs alongside 2 relatively forward pressing SMGs. So it's much more of that swarm feel that we really missed from them and want to see again.
And on the other side, for Los Pepes, just to make sure we have our due diligence play to both sides here. You mentioned a little bit of controversy, but that's not to be unfamiliar when it comes to the European region in qualifiers. It's happened almost every single time we've gone through a stage qualification. But that win versus Team WaR, sure, was absolutely great. But they also were able to take down BB Connor and Linny in them, which I would say was more of the impressive win just to qualify in the first place, because that BB Connor, Linny, Sayan, and Detain squad, I think we were all looking at saying, okay, anticipate that they would definitely make a run for top 4. They get cut short, and surprisingly so, by this Los Pepes team. So we'll see how things kind of unfold. We will be getting a draw off the rip. And just to kind of keep you in the loop, we are also watching in with a second observer onto the Originals and Hot Tub Meta. That matchup is currently underway. They're on a raid hardpoint. Hot Tub Meta currently in the lead, but those are the other 2 teams that qualified through this stage 4 qualifier that happened on Saturday. So we're taking a look at all 4 of our brand new squads represented here in this elite stage coming up here, Enigma.
We are indeed, and I don't know how many times I'm going to enjoy saying Hot Tub Meta live on stream, if I'm completely
Hopefully
honest.
a lot.
But yeah. But I mean, hey, look, this is a great team, by the way. Like Defrag, Joe, Nolson, who's back up at the top end of European Call of Duty. We love to see that.
Yeah,
Zero's back amongst the mixer. Fantastic player. Obviously, we all know about him. And just across the board, really, every single stage, we seem to be like, oh, this is the best mix yet. But you look at the kind of players who are here and the way that they've been playing, and this is going to be one heck of a stage without a doubt. Some incredibly close battles. And if we thought that, previous scenarios where we had map tiebreakers was as close as it could get, well, I do think that this stage could be even tighter yet.
I think it's going to be really interesting because we'll have the same conversation when we eventually get to North America, but with all the fresh faces that are making their debut for the Challengers Elite, we could be seeing either a really tight grouping or two. But as we get away from this 5th hardpoint, you do have a number of original members who are already ready to go towards the statue hardpoint as it opens up.
It's really interesting right off this rip here is Nolson, who has put himself around for this P2 side. He will get the spawn. So in comes Zero, and all of a sudden, this is a potential situation for Hot Tub Meta to really get away with it. And as I call it, Caster's Curse comes through, and they fall. So Originals will indeed hold on to P1 for a little bit longer and get themselves, try and wrap for that P2 and chain themselves back into this, get themselves back level, as they are currently 30 points down.
And Joe still working on a bit of spree here as he's on 4 in a row. Number 5 will walk right in front of him, but then Rafi from behind able to find the trade. So no streaks there. Originals, as you mentioned, digging into the deficit and now fighting for the next hardpoint spawns, but it's not with a lot of numbers. You've got number 1 and Grad trying to make a solo play. Rafi was trying to stay alive after his previous kill, but denied. Zero even gets a look at Furious over the top, but the SMG just a bit better than the pistol. So that'll be enough for a tie game, but for now, Hot Tub Meta hold on to the back spawns, opening up the second hard point.
They do indeed. Just give me a second. I just lost my feed for half a second there, and we are back in it. Rafi picks up a massive 3-piece. Goodness me, what a thing to come back to. He does eventually get cut down, but what a massive play that is if you want to get yourself back into this game. Furious is going to try and just keep this backside closed out, and the problem that they have is they're currently caught in a little bit of pinch, and Hawkey here could go big. He does get the first. Nolson, though, might get him in the back, and all of a sudden you've got to start thinking now about that garage hill, because whilst number 2 is lovely and scrappy and everyone can kind of get in the mixer, 3 is indeed where you can pick up some serious time, and you can already see that those red arrows are on their way round. They're going to get set up nice and early, and you might be looking here saying, oh, Hot Tub Meta falling behind a little bit, lost a bit of momentum, but this next hill can be a huge stealer.
There will be Originals members trying to work their way over to contest this as soon as the hard point pops. You had number 6 and Joe spawning all the way out, but as the attack starts to come through, Originals completely get wiped off the floor. So first break attempt completely unsuccessful. Just trying to play for the next setup as Furious is just trying to hold on to his life. But as he takes a bit of a jump peek, Nolson prepared for it, and a bit of team shots come through. They actually clear out the AC area. So Hot Tub Meta tested, but still proven to hold on pretty darn nicely. Nolson over the top, looking for the shot punch, going back towards the ADS, finds the kill, and the second attempt for Originals also going to be shut down. And really, for my money here, Dingba, that's just a bit too scattered for Originals if you're looking for a good break.
100%. The Hot Tub Meta as well, they had a really deep setup, so Originals just needed to come back at that with one big, solid, concerted effort. And you're right, completely scattered. They're all over the place. They're trying to just make it in ones, and I think it's a panicked push at that point. It's a little bit... you need to just reset yourself there and give yourself a chance. And as we move over towards this P4, this basketball side, there's going to be a mad scramble, and you're going to see that actually the Originals are spawning out. So all of a sudden, the potential to chain 2 money hills together here for the Hot Tub Meta, which would be a real kick in the nethers for Originals.
Well, the play that with the proximal spawns just outside jungle is largely red. Furious able to find nearly 2 stacked up on top of each other, but Defrag working his way forward, has 4 in a row, would love to get a 5th, but denied, as now finally you're going to get the Originals trying to hold on to this back staircase. Pinch from behind, also red. Nolson cannot make the play happen, and Originals now growing their lead right back up, and there will not be enough time here for them to win, but if you can lock down this back 30, you'll have plenty of time to work around for the win on the 5th hard point. Still a bit undetermined as far as what happens with this scrap time, as Hot Tub Meta still want to put at least some sort of a decided effort into getting there, but they will be denied. So full time earned for Originals, and now for Hot Tub Meta, they have to be perfect on the 5th hill.
They do. They have to get this set up right. I love what Zero's trying to do here. Get out wide, but he might miss Klaus. He will fall, and that's bad for them because they can now be collapsed on from that side. Spawns are absolutely everywhere, though, and this could put things right into a mixer. No one's in a preferred setup. No one's in a position to look good here. And if you're Hot Tub Meta, that's bad news because Original's 5 points away. And unless they get into the hill, this is done and dusted. First one goes to the Originals. Massive surprise in my book, but what a fantastic performance.
Yeah, that was an absolutely clutch kind of comeback. Just seeing it on the second screen for a minute before we jumped over, there was a lot of momentum being built from Hot Tub Meta. They had a really good first rotation of hills, but the Originals fighting back through the second, and then eventually being able to put it just a touch out of reach. But we switch back over to our main focus, which is going to be Los Pepes versus Team WaR. And I would say this much, for Team WaR, you're really kind of hoping and praying that you do see some good early value from Yako. He was definitely one of the reasons why they put together a pretty lengthy run in the open from a couple of weekends ago. But here, a 2-6 start, and beyond that, a 73-19 point lead for Los Pepes early.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. There's a lot of players here who have a lot to prove. Los Pepes, a lot of their players have been between that top 32 to top 12 nightmare bracket situation throughout the year. And this is an opportunity for them to show that they do deserve to be at this level, all controversy aside. Meanwhile, for Yako, obviously, he's coming into this side. WaR have a great history and reputation that they want to build back up after the disappointments of the last stage, so he's got to go big. And 2-8, you're right, it's not the start that he would have wanted or his team.
Yeah, but at least you're getting some good participation from this new AAR setup. Lucky and Metals doing well to at least hold their own for now. Sentex will be the end of Fusion inside the hill. Torres working his way forward, able to take place exactly where he had left off. Metals at long range really needs a little bit of help here before he can challenge, and he will at least bide his time and wait for it. Largely, you're looking at both Journey and Yako, those double SMGs playing through the middle of the plane at the moment. They are the ones you're really kind of looking at to say, okay, go time. We're going to jump down and then try to hit you from the side while you guys hit from the back. But the problem is they didn't find anybody. Los Pepes just stay a bit stealthy, and with that, they go 4 for 1, and the back 20 seconds looking good for Los Pepes on the 4th hill.
It is indeed. I love the setup there. I love the patience, just biding their time and saying to WaR, look, you've got to come to us. You've got to bully us out of this hill. We're outgunning you right now, and we don't mind being just led down on the hill, basically. If you're defending it, you can make that play. But this is important now because WaR are looking to make that long wrap and rotation, and Yako will spawn in. So if a couple of gunfights do finally start to go their way, then they can claw themselves back in. But for now, Pepe's in control. The kill feed lights up blue, and this is a really, really good start out of them.
Journey has to make a play here. He's the only Team WaR member in the back. Going to be chased down. Fuchsia just no worries whatsoever. Just runs on forward, and Abuza off the spawn. Beams Metals at long range. I mean, this has been clean from every angle that you look at it from Los Pepes. 141-41 will be the impending score. Koo/Trotty, however you want to call him, he will be staying alive just underneath the engine, and he's just being used as a way to kind of make sure that he's a barrier between Team WaR and a break attempt on the 5th hill. But as the kills come through, the break attempt will be quick to follow, and that will be a full 4-man feed for Team WaR to get some scrap time.
It will be in scrap time, though, just not enough. They're really, really far out of this one. Need to get set up well for P1. And every single time we seem to come into, okay, the hill's about to pop. Okay, we're about to see the early parts of the hill. It lights up blue. As I call that, Journey does a great job, but Torres will answer back and answers back with a massive 2-piece. That's absolutely huge from him, and all the arrows are going to swarm in towards that mid-plane hill. Lucky's going to kill himself, so that's not fantastic. And I tell you what, this is looking good for Los Pepes. I was thinking they're going to do this on fundamental Call of Duty, but they're slaying out right now.
Yeah, they're looking absolutely clean. I mean, every engagement seems to be really well structured. Yako trying to change that single-handedly, and he will find 3 kills. But, I mean, before that, he was 4-16. He's just now 7-17. Not the performance you were hoping for from what I imagine the Team WaR management is looking at, saying he's got to be our new SMG superstar. And Lucky trying to keep his life, but it's going to get overwhelmed. Metals will also fall, but that's by a team nade. And it's been a little bit sloppy from Team WaR. A slow start met with a bit of just indecision has allowed Los Pepes to wreak havoc through this checkmate hardpoint so far.
They are indeed. And setup, though, for P2 is going to be for WaR, and they're just trying to stop this wide hit now. But Journey's shots are windy. They're not catching anyone, and he will fall. Torres picking up a big 2-piece. Trade will come through, but they've got the rotation in, and even though the spawns are slightly out, the pressure is there, and if they can win a couple of gunfights, it's going to be absolutely huge. Never mind, WaR hold on, so this is an opportunity to get themselves back within some kind of distance, but they're still well out of it. 100 points down, playing more for pride at the minute, especially when you look at a stat line like 9-18, make that 10-18 out of Yako.
Yeah, it's just not been great any way you want to split it from the side of Team WaR. But an opportunity here to start digging into this deficit if they can lock down the final 20 seconds. Pepes look like they actually want to try to break for this. They're getting really aggressive, and why not if you're finding the kills? But the problem is 2 of those eliminations were actually team kills, so still a bit indeterminate as far as what happens with the scrap time. Journey to the pistol will find the kill, and I'm not going to lie here, Andy. I think we've seen more team kills in this single map than we have in most other Challengers seasons in total so far. It's been a little bit loose, a little bit wild so far.
I have no idea what's going on as everyone seems to run past Yakko. I do genuinely think for a second there was more team kills than actual kills from Yakko. So, and that's probably the 4th sticky that we've seen as well. So, crazy game right here. Traudi's going to pick up the first, trying to break into P3. This is another one of those scrappy hills. And to be quite frank, WaR need to win this because this could very easily suddenly see Pepes crawl over that 200 mark. You're just past 100 and it becomes an absolute nightmare. And the SMGs are just not getting going. Trades will continue to go back and forth, but we're heading into the last 20 seconds. We need to look at that rotation towards those northern containers because that is a relatively shadow money hill.
Talk about the performances individually from Torres here for a second. 22 and 15, but over 2 minutes and 15 seconds with a hard point time. I mean, you want to talk about a man who wears many hats and wears them well. Here's an opportunity to see it as he tries to add on to the tally by maybe earning our first set of streaks. He's on 3 in a row, so still some work to be done. And to be fair, there may not be enough game clock for him to get these kills as they get to 210. Again, the deficit over 100 points. Journey, bit of a Semtex tag, moves his way forward, gets one. A little shaky for the second, but still locks it in. And Team WaR actually very convincingly get a very needed break here in the 4th hill early.
It was convincing indeed. They needed to find the break, and although they have been in that break situation regularly, it's usually the 2nd or 3rd wave when they get through. This time, straight in through the front door. Love to see it. Going to continue to make the game contesty, but we talk about individual performances. I think you're right in picking out Torres there. Everyone around his team's relatively around even, and he's absolutely frying and basically has a timeshare in the hill right now. So it's absolutely fantastic out of him, and he's maybe the difference maker. We look over at WaR. Yakko has picked it up from that incredibly slow start. I think he was 2 and 14 at one stage. But that being said, just on the flip side of things, just on the balance of things, sorry, WaR definitely not having this go the way they would have wanted. And this could be a big hill, though.
Here we go. The last scrap time fight through the middle of the plane. Very good for Team WaR. Flips the map around, which puts them in a very convincing position around the opening time. You get a full 60 here, we can start having a conversation about a comeback. Take a look at as Los Pepes make their way across once more through the middle of the map. Good for a couple. That is going to be killed number 3, maybe for Abuza, but can't quite finish it. So Torres is responsible for the trade and now is trying to play through, but Yakko, a very impressive double, will keep things at least contested in the back for Team WaR. They have lost the spawns, but they can still fight this back from the front.
They could indeed, and look, he's 1 kill away from some streaks, by the way. If he picks this up, that could be very important. This is obviously a covered map, and he will unfortunately fall, so does not matter in the end. And scrap time can be played for by Pepes because they're in that lead, but that lead has significantly deteriorated over the last couple of hills, and they need to go big. Doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. And right now, WaR look good for it as they get all narrow and tight, and we're into the paper plane.
If there was ever a moment for the SMGs to pop up, it would be right here. Lucky holding on to a corner. Good for 1. Metals right behind him for a second. And SMGs have been collected. So now, technically speaking, all 4 Team WaR members could have the ability of playing with some close-range weaponry, but Fusion, long-range shots out of Metals Peak will win 1. Ku playing around the back. Might have some good timing here as the rest of his teammates from the front also looking pretty convincing. Now you just hold off the rotations, and that very well could be game. Pepes have flipped the spawns, and realistically, if they could just zone off this next hit from Team WaR, they won't even need to see the second hard point.
They might not indeed. It's going to be super dicey, though, as the kills go back and forth. And they only have 1 player left alive. Fusion gets 1, will not get the second, and the trades are absolutely everywhere. However, the setup might be in for Pepes. Yakko could play spoiler if he gets there early enough, but this might not even need to be a scramble yet, because if Pepes just hold on for 1 wave, this is all but over.
Well, here it is. Last attempt for Team WaR. Finding some room to work with. They've actually forced Fusion to spawn out, so hold on a second. This is still doable, pending they can get the kills. Even trades going through so far. Torres, the last one to deal with. Getting a little bit of space with the Semtex, but Yakko wants the challenge, and he's put down. And now into the hill go the Los Pepes. Couple of Team WaR members still fortunate to spawn into the back, but they need to win these gunfights and win them quickly. Torres does eventually drop Fusion in the hill. Also going to be put down, and Ku bounced out. Team WaR still alive.
Still alive indeed, but they will not get the tick. So this could still yet be going to another hill. Booster's going to try and get nice and aggressive here. 2 blue kills in the feed and make that 3. And all of a sudden, this is still a dilemma for WaR because they can't allow any scrap time to be given up. Yakko tries to do his best, will fall. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to go to Los Pepes.
It's just too slow of a start. I mean, At 2 or 3 different times, we even mentioned the fact that it was a 100-point deficit. If the game looked like the last 3 hard points just did from the start, we could be singing a totally different song right now. But the fact of the matter was, that didn't happen. And Los Pepes with a hot start, able to make sure Yako does not find value until realistically the last about 3 minutes of the map is win condition. And I feel like that is probably something we could say as we watch this Team WaR squad throughout the rest of the season, because Yako's got a big spotlight on him. I think for me personally, watching him during Black Ops 4 is like, this kid is incredible. Last year, not a great year. This has to be the bounce back year for him. And when you've got a slow start like that, it's going to be hard to ever figure your team's going to find a win, but they nearly still survive. So that's map number 1 there. Again, we're kind of going back and forth between a couple of different series. Originals and Hot Tub Meta are also still playing at the moment, and they find themselves in a search and destroy on Express. If we have a chance to maybe look over and finish off that map with them, we'll take a look. Hot Tub Meta currently down 0-1 in the series, but up right now big in the Express search and destroy as we jump on board with them. A 3-0 tally and looking for a bit of a retake over towards the A site, and looks like they've done well. Actually, the bomb never even got planted, so it's going to be a 2v3 situation that Grad needs to find some success through lockers. He'll be pushed back, takes the second challenge, but it's already gone past him.
Yeah, we've obviously missed the first couple of rounds here, but I think that the moment there is quite evident as to what's been going on. Bombs should go down. They were up in a 4v3 scenario, looked good for it, and it just all collapses. It's onto Grad in the 1v3, and he'll go down as well. And Hot Tub Meta, the SND looks really good. Express comfortable and answering back on what was a surprising hardpoint loss.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you had mentioned it when we were finishing off that first hard point, a bit of a surprise in the get-go as the Originals put together a little bit of a comeback throughout the raid hard point to eventually take the lead and hold on to it. But for Hot Tub Meta, this is a mode that you have to feel like it's going to be their bread and butter throughout the season, and especially because we've got a bunch of teams that have qualified in very surprise fashion. So for HTM, I think you've got to really kind of bank on your search and destroy being what could get you over towards playoffs, especially early versus other qualifier teams like the Originals. But that said, we also have seen the Originals stick together as a 4-man pretty much throughout the entirety of this year. So we'll see if they can do some kind of diligence to bounce back. But a patient approach here for Hot Tub Meta will actually put a bit of caution into the win here for Originals. They're rotating very quickly between both sides with a bit of anxiousness.
Yeah, Hot Tub Meta, they're expecting a wild attack from Originals, doesn't come through. And all of a sudden, they're down into the 40 seconds, and Norton's got a big job to do. It doesn't happen. A trade will come about, but this is suddenly panic time because you're into the last 30 seconds. Defrag gets a big one, and this might allow the rotation and the bomb to come through, but Joe still isn't really sure which way he wants to go with it.
We'll eventually commit over towards B, and as actually Hockey finds a kill over towards A, Grad is going to jump over and rotate away, at least initially, but they say all is clear. So now he's going to challenge this through ticket, walks right on up. The bomb does not get planted. 0 left alive. Has to work against the clock and the final 2 members of the Originals. Not going to happen. So finally, 1 tally on the board for Originals. A lot more to go. And at this point in time, you really need to see them at least string together another round. But I would say 3 in a row is probably more accurate. You just don't want to go down 5-1. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think as well, the thing is that round was actually a failed set play out of Hot Tub Meta. They tried to predict something. It didn't pay off in the end. Originals obviously still have to capitalize on that, but I don't know if we can try and say that it was their initiative that paid off. Rafi still 0-5, not the game that he wanted to be bringing to the table, and this is going to be a big hit at B.
Quick hit coming out. A couple of spam nades in the mix. Defrag holding his life. Challenging gunfight, but still wins it. Trade is imminent and comes through very quickly. So a bit of pressure established for Originals offensively, but not enough to just walk on up to the bomb site. And take a look at the rotation for HTM. They're going to rotate all the way back through middle trains and then take more of a high ground approach over towards B. This will isolate the Originals, but at the same point, if this is red, Originals could adapt very quickly to deal with it.
Yeah, Klaus here playing very smart, just needs to get out of his life, and he does. Plays for all the information, gets it, bomb will go down, but Nelson could play spoiler here because he's got the opportunity to go in for the wide pinch as Hot Tub Meta look to come back through mid and make this more of a 2-pronged attack rather than a 3, try and punch a hole through this defense in the post plan.
Oh, and you're going to get Grad wrapping behind this play. Furious will find one. Grad's flank denied, so all the action has to unfold right over the top of the bomb site. Good kills from Nolson. Leaves it just down to Furious. He's found one. needs to get the final, playing his life, knowing that Nolson's going to want to try to chase. The timing of this peak is everything. Nolson wins the gunfight, and just enough time to squeak on for a defuse. That'll put Hot Tub Meta up 5-1. And even though the impressive display from Furious comes through, it's just barely not enough to secure the round.
Impressive indeed. I felt like he made the right call. He just gets gunned, unfortunately, and it's the exact scenario that you didn't want to see. 5-1 up for Hot Tub Meta. And the thing is about taking such a big lead in S&D is you've got a lot of time to sit and wallow if you're that team behind, and all that good momentum that you built is suddenly diffused, and you can feel it in the chat.
0-6 start for Rafi. It's going to throw that out there. See what happens as we move on into round number 7. Defensively, the Originals, I mean, we've only seen a handful of rounds, but they have looked very anxious. I'll say that much. Would love to see them get just committed to one site and then play a mid-map rotation. And it's indeed maybe going to happen as 3 members defensively stacked over towards A, actually pushing forward, looking for a first blood. Do not find it, but there is at least a trade. Furious will make it even better for the Originals. Now a 3v2 situation, and oh my goodness, the map control that was just earned off the defensive push is stagnant, to be sure.
It is indeed. Bomb might well go down here at B, but suddenly Originals have a lot of different ways in which they can collapse in on this. They have the number advantage as well. Although if Rafi continues to not put up a single kill, then that number advantage might not work out. And Rafi actually might get 2 in the back as Hot Tub Meta take a really interesting approach to this. This is a really unusual post plan.
Well, it's a good read. I mean, if you know that the Originals have gotten aggressive over towards A, you have some time to work back around the middle. And as you've cleared space, you should know that, okay, they should be over on top of the bomb. Quick check. We'll see. No one's defusing. Zero Semtex actually tags Joe, trying to get away up towards the sky bridge, but denied. Rafi able to find his first kill by way of the burst pistol, and now it's just down to 0. Grad going to stick for a defuse. Timing on the peak, not necessarily spectacular. And the Originals stay alive, but that is 1 round of 5 in a row that they're going to need to collect and chance to try to go up 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, it's a long way back for them. They do have a couple of tricks up their sleeve. They have a couple of good plays, but they really do need to be seeing more like this out of Rafi, who picks up 2 very important kills. First with the pistol, second with the 74U, and read it perfectly. Let his teammate get down on the bomb. Great stuff out of them, but like you said, it's a long road back yet. You're against some very, very good players. 4 more to go. I wouldn't be betting my money on it, but it would be really, really good to see.
At least an effort, I would say, just to make it close and make the scoreline a bit more respectable. I mean, as far as the macro of just kind of taking a look at this Original squad, you hate to look down at a stat sheet that says 6-2 on a search and destroy, especially on Express. But we'll see how things unfold. Very patient offensive approach, at least initially, but then the action unfolds over towards the middle of the map, and Grad has found 2 kills. Nolson now the last player left alive all of a sudden, and Grad will find 3. Impressive display after what looked to just be kind of a line drawn into the sand. The Originals decide to go ahead and hit the gas pedal altogether. Grad, beautiful 2-piece, backs away, finds the angle eventually into Nolson for a clean 3rd. And so now 2 rounds in a row of what is, again, the required 5.
Yeah, all of a sudden, we're starting to talk a little bit more about it, but it's still another 3. Grad 10 and 5. Having an absolutely fantastic game, by the way. I felt like that going on under the radar for a minute there. Really, really dragging his team, kicking and screaming through this one. Big hit about to come in again. B about to be a cluster of grenades and gunfire.
Opening exchange through the info booth does result in a couple of tags, and Zero Semtex eventually draws out the first blood into Rafi, but Furious playing inside the ticket booth has done well to respond to 1, but eventually this gets overwhelmed. So Hockey, the lone member playing over towards A, now has to rotate into what will need to be a 1v3. Opening shots versus 0, fine. Isolates 1 kill. Bomb has not fully been planted yet, but it's on the way. And so now a 1v2 to try to dissect from the middle of the map. He has not seen either of these final 2 members, so this is going to have to be a dry clear with a Krig. Does have some utility to play off of, but I imagine with all the trophy systems that are down, he'll likely just hold on. Goes to check, not seeing anything yet. Nolson down low, also hasn't seen anybody, and Defrag, who eventually wrapped around, gets the angle, cleans up the kill, and then ties this series up after a 6-3 search and destroy at a 1-1 map count.
Yeah, nice and comfortable in the end for Hot Tub Meta. There was a couple of rounds coming back there, but still, it's a scene out S&D, and they'll go 1, 1. And as we move over to the Team War Los Pepes game, we can see that it is 1 apiece with Abuza left alive in the 1v2. Bomb is down. He's going to have to go big to get this retake.
And it looks like the post line is actually favoring over towards Pillar, so this is going to be a very difficult full retake. And he reads it. Okay, no bomb right in front of me, so they've got to be playing somewhere up towards the mid or through Art. Gonna commit, finds Journey cleanly, mind you. Lucky might have to consider how he wants to check this, and unfortunately for Abuza, he looks left and not just straight forward, hiding underneath the rock garden. Is enough for Team War to secure their second round, go up 2-1 early.
Yeah, famous COD timing coming through there. I thought Abuza had read it perfectly. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out, and he doesn't see the clutch through, but really good attempt. I mean, this is going to be super tight if that first map is anything to go by. We had, obviously, that massive lead built by Los Pepes. WaR clung it back bit by bit. Unfortunately, didn't make it enough. Starting this one out, we can see individually, Metal's off to a great start, 4-1. Los Pepes, you've got Abuza, who's 4-3. Journey, though, 0-3. Not what you would expect out of such a veteran, talented player.
Yeah. Still plenty of time to collect up, though, as he gets aggressive mid-map. Yako was also running with him, but he goes to check over towards the open stairs, sees nothing. The stun check is good. So now all of a sudden, Team War kind of tasked with knowing they're going to be playing retake over through Laundry. Metal's also with the sub, though. Finds one just walking across this line of sight, nearly doubles up, but Abuza will find the trade. So it's Lucky with the solo AR. You've got Yako around the back. Torres just holding prone up top. Good for 1. Does he read the second is the question. He initially thought he saw him, but now he's confirmed as a couple of shots from the back will make him know that, yes, Yako was imminently right behind me, but good help again from Abuza, leaving just Lucky for a 1v3. And I don't know how you do this one here, but this is going to be a tough 1v3 to break up.
It is, and it doesn't matter which way we break down this map. This is tough, and Fusion does the right thing. Shoulder peaks, takes a little bit of damage, gives the information to his teammates, and Lucky is going to be swarmed. Gets the first, so it's a good start, but you have 20 seconds left, and nah, this is good. This is too much to ask for, really. Abuza's going to just play it again for information. It's got to be so frustrating for Lucky, who's trying to dip, dive, and dodge, but it will not matter, because Abuza will cut him down and even the game up.
Great help from Abuza all the way across this round. I mean, not just in these little shoulder peaks that he had, but he was responsible for making sure Torres was able to stay alive, even helping out with Journey through mid-map. So Abuza getting this AR, lining down multiple lanes throughout the round. Good for 3 kills straight, 7-3 overall. Impressive performance for him so far. Yeah, I'm just really interested, I think, just to see what this Los Pepes team has to offer, because, you know, to the same accord that we were talking about teams like Grad Hockey, Rafi, and Furious, these guys have stuck together over the last handful of weeks and have been improving their placements through opens and cups as well. So their first chance collectively at the elite, and so far, a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, pleasant surprise indeed. And I think that, you know, one of the things that has been really impressive is their patience, their mentality side of things. I think that you can get into this top end and maybe become a bit flustered or outclassed, but they have shown so far some really, really good stuff in terms of setups, in terms of just executing their hills and their strategies. Just really good, countering what is a very good WaR team, and we still don't have a first blood.
Yeah, very patient round coming through. Split offensive look for Team WaR. Aggression towards A, but the bomb is actually lingering over towards B. This position that they've seen Fusion is going to make for a very interesting corrective move here from Los Pepes, as they're going to realize that, wait a second, the bomb's actually planted over by B, but the first kill, very good. Journey stalking some prey through the jungle. Should be an easy kill on Deku as soon as he decides to open up. There it is. Yako, meanwhile, from the front, finds another. So a 3v2 situation for Team WaR in the post plant. Abuza moving quickly, but denied by Yako. Trade is there, but for a 1v3 situation, Fusion's just going to try to sneak on and see if maybe a defuse will be allowed, but it will not be, and Team WaR retake the lead once more. Still just a marginal difference, though, 3-2 up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a bit of COD timing or just some brilliant play out of Journey, but that moment there round back rock, round in that backyard area, was huge. He manages to effectively cause then a scenario where Los Pepes are left out in the open and then in a really tough spot. 2v3, and we bring up the damage dealt board, there. We can see Lucky Metal's over that 1k, Abuza over a k as well. Perhaps needs a little bit more out of Ku in order to keep themselves in this fight.
We'll see what they can offer. Once again, going towards A. I was about to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With how good the help was from the ARs of Los Pepes, you have to feel really confident about what your setup looked like from your previous attack. Looks to be doing it once more, but this time Team WaR, again, allowing this bomb to be taken in order to play their retake. And you can see Metals, he is all the way in the back. Lucky, good first shots, knows that Abuza has to be nearby, wants the fight, gets it, wins it, no problem. Yako and Torres now 2v4, and they are stuck in corners. Torres cannot find his 1v1. So now, Ku, you want to see him start to do something in this map? Well, there was his chance, but long range versus Lucky is not a favorable gunfight for the 74U. And Team WaR, for the first time, have actually strung together a couple of rounds in a row to go up 4-2.
Yeah, some lovely adjustments there, I felt. They recognized the way that the Pepes like to set this one up, and I feel like they just tried to isolate Torres. You're going to see Lucky, who gets a really flashy, lovely two-piece here, but I think that the fact that the rest of the team were kind of swarming Torres, leaving him as that stuck player unable to secure the flank was huge here, because it really unsettled this team. And it's a third as well. Some great shots there.
Clean stuff. And, you know, that's something that we've seen Team WaR try to play around with for the last couple of weeks, but even with Yako during the open, we watched them essentially just default to sometimes giving up one bomb site completely and then just favoring playing for a retake. And at a certain point, I think if you have that collective mindset that we're okay with this and we're not going to panic once the bomb comes down, it's actually a really cool look at how to play the search and destroy. Not a lot of challengers teams are really doing that, but this time they're going to have to reconsider what they want to do offensively, as they do lose Lucky as first blood. Abuza there to trade out Journey, so we've got a defensive favor for a time. But just as I say that, Metals in the same breath takes down 2 in a row, leaving Abuza in a 1v2 that he cannot find the first of. So now 3 rounds in a row for Team WaR, really putting this one a bit out of reach.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're getting to see this best play, by the way. I really wanted to find out what happened over here. Oh, Torres gets absolutely pieced by Metals. Puts him in a body bag and seals that round up nice and tidy. Huge out of him. And yeah, WaR now stringing a couple together, getting that momentum. They do start relatively slow, or at least this one they stayed in touch. But they're really stringing out this lead now, and Pepes are going to throw something a little bit different in the book here. More of a patient play, maybe linger with that bomb towards B, but as it stands, I don't think WaR are falling for it just yet. They haven't sent the cavalry through. They're just going to wait, bide their time, and they can, being 3 rounds up.
And this change of pace I actually really appreciate from Los Pepes, because the last handful of rounds, you have to remember, they've been going A pretty aggressively. So they don't really have an idea as far as what Team WaR has been doing in the middle of the map or over towards B. So why not see if they'll play off the flank, especially considering that was the way the retake came through the last handful of times that Pepes were on their offense. But this time, it's Team WaR stacked towards A, allowing them to get over towards B. And then we'll have our first look at Team WaR trying to play for a B retake. Journey will find one. Fusion, nowhere to go after the post plant. And so now it's just the last 2 members of Los Pepes up top and around the bedroom. Ku will do well for a first. I don't actually think Torres has given up his position yet, so he is actually down low and could provide a bit of a headache for any defuse attempts from Team WaR early.
The fuse is coming in, and someone's going to have to check this, or else this is it. And
Wow.
Shift, I tell you what, just like that, WaR steal, take, absolutely claw away the S&D, and that was extremely anticlimactic right there. Why didn't no one check the ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's that position that's down low for Torres that you're looking at, and you're saying, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. You're going to kind of maybe throw into the mentality of, hey, you don't know where Torres is. Could he be playing off the flank maybe? Trying to throw in a little bit of extra consideration. But if he's your linchpin of making sure that any early checks towards the bomb are good, you have to check the bomb early. And so no one is able to do that. And eventually the 4v2 would be enough for Team WaR to go 4 rounds in a row and put themselves now into a 1-1 map tie. No dramatic comeback needed there for the search and destroy. But as mentioned, this is not the only game that's going on right now. The Originals and Hot Tub Meta, also 2 teams that have qualified through the Stage 4 qualifier this past Saturday. Locked in a pretty good one, but as we turn our attention over to what's happening on their control, it is all the Originals so far. It looked like there was a last-second heroic defense to come through in round 2, and well, this third round here, Enigma is looking very confident from the Originals, as it looks like they're going to get the A zone for free.
Very confident, and if you're a Hot Tub Meta fan, that is a weird sentence to say, then you're very much so not a fan of that stat line. 5-11 from Norson, 8-16 from Defrag, 8-13 from 0. Originals feeling really good on the gunny right now as Nelson tries to play the famous insight tree spot and will ring out a couple of shots. But I mean, this must have been quite a battering from the Originals, and they look really, really confident for it. They've taken A very early, and it looks like they're just trying to get themselves set up into something comfortable for B, but maybe slow it down and execute a strategy rather than just trying to keep pushing single file.
Well, Defrag trying to work around the back through Laundry, not going to find his, what it was anticipated free kill, so now he works a bit harder for it. Does at least get one, but the even trade still mean that the kitchen is in contest, and Furious has done well. Raffi moving in front of him nearly doubles up. Zero will find one trade, but not the second, so clock could stall here as Furious could move over towards B, but instead of playing for the objective, he wants to try to stall the defensive rotations. Not an uncommon strategy to see, but unfortunately bites off more than he could chew, and an opportunity here at an 18-18 life count with a minute 13 to play where Hot Tub Meta can actually set themselves up defensively.
They can indeed. They're trying to get pushed out, but they need the kills to come their way. And Defrag here could be very important. He will fall to Hawkeye. But suddenly, on the other side of things, Klaus is just going to get up into kitchen, uncontested. No one's seen him, and he's able to put a big thorn into the defensive setup of the Hot Tub Meta. He will eventually fall, and we will go back to a relatively even-Steven position here. 45 seconds on the clock. It's very, very minor life advantage. And suddenly, what looked like a round that was running away from HTM, much more in the balance all of a sudden.
It's just, as soon as they get bent, they are right on the brink of being broken, but have done well to recover and then immediately take map position away, which is what you're seeing come through here. 3 straight kills. Hawk will do well to at least clear up some of the attention over towards top bedroom, but with only 20 seconds remaining, there's realistically only one good chance for the Originals to get on and potentially capture this B zone. And it's going to start to the middle of the map. Well, and as soon as it starts to the middle of the map, it's completely been ended. So it's just on to Hawkeye. It's a 1v, essentially infinity it's going to feel like for him. The frag looking to play the trade. Pre-fire will not be good enough, and that will be the end of Original's offensive attempt. Hot Tub Meta stay alive as they go over towards their second attack attempt.
Yeah, they do indeed. And Raid is a relatively even map, really. There's no real favor for attack or defense, I feel. I mean, it is always on the attack to show their initiative and take those points away. So maybe that leans into it slightly, and you can say, oh, well, they took a defense round. But that being said, it is a super flip-flappy map. You really do need to get some good control in middle. You need your SMGs to be performing, and this is where you can try and get back some of that momentum that we keep talking about that's so important. That stat line looks a little bit better. Klaus, though, still frying, still having a really good game, and the Originals with plenty of breathing room in order to take this one. I don't know the tick scenario in order for the round 5 defense, but it looks like we're going to get this big B hit that they've suddenly paused on, unsure of themselves, maybe.
Defrag's just playing bait right now. I mean, everyone's so worried about what Defrag is going to do that it gives at least some space for Hot Tub Meta to have a numbers advantage towards me. But look how quickly Originals are swarming over, and not just doing it one-dimensionally. They're working through middle, they're working around the back, and an opportunity for this flank maybe cause a bit of a nuisance for HTM, but they deal with it nicely. Defrag wins a gunfight that he has no business winning, and now an opportunity with maybe some numbers to get right back over to the A zone and generate some pretty easy objective presence.
Yeah, great stuff out of them. You see them just immediately transition. The rest of the teammates just fly over towards A. They're going to lock that down. I doubt there's going to be anything that comes through to stop this unless you see the Originals go absolutely huge, and that's not the way to start as Defrag gets a big kill in kitchen. And with A coming in here, if it does, this is going to be over 2 minutes worth of time to attack B. And although Hot Tub Meta might have started slow, with the quality on that team, you can never quite rule them out, and they already have presence there. 2 kills in the feed, and it is answered back, so it's a bit scrappy right now, but you just can't rule them out. There's such a good squad, and this is going to turn into an absolute bloodbath.
Zero's going headlong forward into B. I mean, he's essentially by himself as a main AR. I mean, he was still having to wait for both Nolson and Joe behind him, which, as they finally get over towards where they needed to be to assist, they actually win a couple of key gunfights. First tick of progress is quickly done. Second tick also can very swiftly come into play as there is a bit of a stack coming out. Second tick of progress is confirmed, and now working for a third. But things come to a bit of a halt, bit of a breath in the system as we're still waiting for the gunfights to come out. And, well, last players to survive through it will be Hot Tub Meta members. They will double up, stack things through, and we will go to a round 5 after 2 really well put together rounds from HTM.
Yeah, two great rounds out of HTM, but also I think two weak ones out of the originals. That defense there, they're super linear. They're trying to come through effectively the same two bottlenecks. You don't see anyone try and get around mid or try and attempt something a bit more daring. It's all just kind of predictable. Lots of meta are going to punish you if you do something like that, and punish them they have. And originals have it on themselves to go and take the attack. And as I mentioned before, this map is super 50-50, attack defense in terms of who takes it, but it is still on them to come up with something special. And against a side like this, with all the momentum now, it's going to need to be big.
Good first blood from Zero. Big mid-map control for Hot Tub Meta. Joe also working his way around the statue. Good help from Nolson beyond, looking for the 4-for-1 exchange, and it's beautiful for the side of Hot Tub Meta. And beyond that, you actually still have Zero who's playing down by bedroom, so the originals are going to be spawning backside garage, and will have to make a choice as far as what they want to do offensively. And we're getting that decision in play here as Alphamers make their way over to the driveway. Nice spam shots from Hawk to find one. Mid-map clearance also coming through quickly, and just as good as Hot Tub Meta started off with a 4-for-1 defensive exchange, the originals on their second lives essentially do the exact same thing. That's the first tick of progress gone, and essentially even lives as the second one will also be confirmed.
Well, indeed, Grad could have gone massive there. He really did do a great job of keeping them pushed forward. Hawk is going to pick up a very important two-piece, perhaps gets way too aggressive. Zero nearly goes disgustingly huge. Klaus will manage to dive back onto the point, and that will be A secured. 2 minutes left. So even though, like you said, Hot Tub Meta had that fantastic start, they didn't capitalize on it enough, and you're going to see a big back hit from originals here. This could be massive.
Defrag does not have the weapon to deal with this, so he's got to really just play for the information. And it looks like for Hot Tub Meta, they're starting to recognize, okay, we haven't seen anything recently. They've got to have made the play through laundry. That is indeed the case. Defensively for Hot Tub Meta, it's largely going to be relying on the two players up towards the bedroom. Defrag does well to find one. First tick of progress was stalled for a moment and then eventually denied as they will back away, trying to play their lives as long as humanly possible. But now the task falls onto Joe's shoulders. First tick of progress now being made again. Double stack coming through, but just as soon as the second member gets onto the zone, Hot Tub Meta, they are able to check, find the kills, but is it convincing enough? First take is gone. Defrag, playing from a bit of the flank through the open stairs, needs to work his way forward, and as he contests, Furious will recognize the threat, so does Hawk. They find the kill, and the second tick is looking imminent.
It is indeed, and Grad's going absolutely massive. Will fall, though, and this is still making moves forward, by the way. Rafi then cuts off the flank through middle, and this is looking like it's pretty much sealed. Defrag, again, will not have the weapon to deal with it, and what an absolute steal here. Hawkeye will seal it, and that is 3-2, and just as the momentum went one way, then back again, Originals come out clutch and take the control to lead the series. What a crazy ending to that one.
It's just that start off for Hot Tub Meta you thought was going to be good enough. You know, 4-for-1 exchange, you're all over the middle of the map. You've even got Zero playing down by bedroom, so Los Pepes now looking at their control are going to have to do something also special defensively. Not really sure what that segue was, I think, but just give me the credit of the doubt for it. The Pepes on their way through, trying to re-attack over to A. They actually do stall the second tick of progress from being confirmed. Journey trying to keep the play alive, denied. Now on to Lucky, but also put down. So Team WaR, Los Pepes locked in a 1-1 count here on the control for Checkmate. And Team WaR have just been denied the second tick of progress on their initial attempt towards A.
Indeed. Ku could go massive here. He gets around the back, maybe makes the wrong call. The slide will give him away a little bit. He will get one and get traded. Could have perhaps done a little bit more with his positioning there. Yako wins a big gunfight, and this is such a hard map to attack on that any sort of progress is really, really big. Lucky's going to get a sticky, but unfortunately gets a bit too aggressive and gets traded out. And this suddenly turns into a scramble for A, and Torres is not in the position that he wants to be. He will eventually go down. And with A coming through, a minute 43 to attack B, attack might be difficult, but this looks good all of a sudden for WaR.
You also have one member just kind of lingering underneath the plane at the moment, waiting for a chance to step onto the B zone, maybe just to stall the clock a little bit longer. And then the push through A also coming through. But as Journey falls, Metals reconsiders how exactly he wants to approach. And, well, as he tries to play for a bit of a flank behind the plane, he's denied. So, looked good for Team WaR for a moment there, but Los Pepes off their respawn, make the smart call, chalk up the A zone, get mid-map right back into our favor, and then, well, do this. Use it to a very steep advantage, which is exactly what's unfolded. Back to a 2-life lead and just over 65 seconds to play in the round.
Boozer will fall trying to defend this flank side, and this will give WaR a little bit of an opportunity to get around the site and try and get themselves some control and positioning. And it's a big kill out of Journey, but he will eventually get traded out. And Yako, who was super passive underneath that play, and I felt far too passive just a moment ago. He had some great positioning. He's just not having that impact again. We've kind of brought him up a little bit because he's the new man, but he's just, for me there, he needed to go a bit bigger and do a bit more. And Pepes do have control. 30 seconds left, 5 lives up, and looking difficult all of a sudden for WaR, who had a really good setup at one point. Looked good for it. Pepes bullying them back.
It's just one of those things that I mean, this is obviously no secret at this stage of the game, but how quickly things can go wrong when you're on a checkmate control offense. You can do everything right until that final step. You lose one bad gunfight, everything turns around. But a moment of light kind of coming through here for Team WaR. A couple of nice kills from Metals will actually open up some space, but it's Ku from behind. Gets a little bit of high-to-low gameplay off of the plane wing, finds the final 2 kills that are going to be required for Los Pepes to put the nail in the coffin for the defense, and also beyond that, go up 2-1 in this swing map mode combo.
He really did go up 2-1. It's a great play out of Ku. You absolutely called that. It was fantastic just to see him like try and make something different there. WaR only have 3 players up. They can't possibly be watching every angle. I'm going to try something a little special. Pulls it off. Looks great. Sees it out for his round. But I will say that at some point, we might end up at around 5. And that was a lot of progress from WaR. We didn't see the first 2 rounds, but if Tick's of the most valuable resource at the minute, then that was a big steal from the bank.
Wow. Okay. Well, can they put it away in 4? I mean, Ku, yeah, we saw the special play, but he's been having a special game. He's 22 and 15 now as he finally falls, but 19 plays around the objective, leading it for his squad. And of course, you figure that number is going to go up as you're on the offensive side, as largely all of your attacking kills are going to be right around the zone. Interesting. Little punch shot combo for Torres. Does it backwards, but still finds value. Ku able to find one more, but the trades are at least even for now. Yako, last WaR member alive, only good for 1. So the final surviving player is Abuza. He will single-handedly lock down the first tick of progress and then have to be the next one up to try to contest whatever comes next defensively for the retake, which seems to be the combination of Lucky and Metals through middle. Yako also a part of this. And just before the second tick of progress was looking pretty good. It is challenged, contested, and then beyond that, depleted by Metals.
Who gets a really big second one there, by the way. It had no right to win that. That's a great kill. And this for me is a problem now for Pepes because they're becoming incredibly single file. There's no mid control. It's all just straight down one lane. And although it might get them that second tick of progress, this becomes a bit of an issue now as Yako looks to apply the pinch. Cause Fusion a couple of questions here. He will indeed come through, contest. He will fall, but it's again a bad situation for Fusion, who has no right to still be up, by the way.
A heck of a lot of help coming from behind. Fusion's gonna even find a 4th. I mean, I was right there with you. I was kind of already drawing up the toe tag for Fusion's body there. He was in an absolutely awful position, but the teammates come off respawn, help out just enough, and that adds a lot of significant time on the clock. But you almost feel like with a minute 45 on the clock, that this is not going to be around determined necessarily by what happens on the objective. You've got a 12 playing up against 11. Now make it even lives, 11 v 11, and the life count very well could determine the outcome of this round.
Could indeed. It's been played at breakneck speed. Both teams really want this, but for me, Pepes have got to take their time now. They're super spread out. They're spawning a little bit everywhere. Just bide your time. Wait. Play that patient game that we've been complimenting you for tonight. You can see that Ku is up for that, and Torres is going to spawn in late, and maybe this will let them get together, set up something, and try and make a hit come through. Down 3 lives. Make it 4. We'll get 1 back on the board, but this needs to be big from Torres on the flank.
Fusion also trying to get some space mid-map tonight. This is just a where's Waldo for Los Pepes, trying to find Team WaR members as they're trying to work their way out of spawn. And they're having a little bit of difficulty doing that. Yako has stayed alive for 4 straight kills. I don't know why you would check that on the reload, but he does, and will be his demise eventually. But you feel like the kill is a bit inconsequential outside of maybe the elongated play for streaks. It's an 8v2, and the round is looking like we are going to find its determinant pretty darn quickly here. Still a chance if maybe you can find just some opening clean kills as Team WaR members are maybe a little bit more spread out than they'd like, just playing for a couple of trades. But with 35 seconds, it looks like Pepes might even just give this up completely, and maybe they've done the math as far as how the objective count has gone so far, and they just want to try to reduce the life count as much as possible in case that is the condition of who gets defense for round 5.
Possibly Fusion just trying to get a couple of picks here. Maybe playing for those kills, as you said. Maybe the important thing here, he gets Journey and still will get out of his life, but Yako will trade it out. So it's a great attempt. They made it interesting for just half a second there. But we will go to the all-important Game 5 in what has been an extremely contested series. A really good one between two very hungry teams. One with all to prove, one on a bit of a revenge tour, and doing a great job of keeping us entertained here. But I really want to know who it is on the attack, because they have got one heck of a job to do here.
Yeah.
Damage stats come out. Fusion, 5k damage. He's got to be asking, why are we not leading right now?
I mean, especially considering you have to be looking over your teammate Ku, who's got a handful more interactions than you do and about 1,000 less damage. So he's definitely been earning these kills, that's for sure. But as we will be looking at the offensive round for Team WaR through round 5, it's Torres for first blood. And, well, here you go. More conversation, but Team WaR actually reads the flank. I don't know if they heard the slide cancel or not, but must have gotten some indication that there was a play around the back. And that will lead to at least some sort of an influence over towards the A zone, but unfortunately not with enough consequences. Los Pepes can fight back and retake the A zone defensively.
And indeed, nearly a scary moment there, but Torres coming out on top when he was needed. Gets the first, nearly gets the second, gets a couple of bullets onto Metals, who will get himself a nice little trade-out scenario. So even lives, we're back to a relative standoff, a bit of a checkmate situation, pardon the pun. 23 lives apiece, and suddenly Torres playing hide and seek here. What's going on? Kill somebody. Shoot somebody.
Will not be able to find any eliminations, and with that, Team WaR, not just progress at A coming through, but also a bit of a threat over towards the B zone simultaneously, which will put a very big decision into the back pocket of Ku, who decides to just work his way over to the B wing, see that he's done his job, clearing out some progress, and now they can turn their attention to defend this third tick over towards A, which, to be fair, they do very nicely. Torres, again, has been really impressive on the day. Does a nice little double kill to open up some space for the defense to work with. And also beyond that, also keep this life count back to about even. 26 seconds on the clock. And for Team WaR, that means it's go time. You've got to set something up successfully towards A. First 2 kills are good. Journey looking for the lockdown. The third, but Torres still wins the gunfight. Keeps at least some sort of an opening for defensively the Los Pepes team to work their way back over. But can they get here in time? Yako working on the third tick of progress, and no one's going to defensively touch in time. Extra 60 seconds of the clock, and we're looking at a 15 playing 11 in favor of the offensive side of Team WaR.
Yeah, all of a sudden this attack round becomes much more realistic out of WaR, who've been really good. 2 players on their team breaking 30, by the way. Not to be outclassed. Los Pepes also have that scenario. So this truly has been a complete scrap for the ages, as we see Torres here trying to get aggressive through yellow for some really deep spawns. Will not be able to control them because Lucky's going to answer back. And suddenly this allows WaR to get themselves spread out and try and encircle that point and cause Los Pepes a lot of questions on this defense, because they need to be spot on.
There's just not a lot of time, so there's going to have to be a play off the objective. Long-range shots from Journey, helped by Metals for the kill. Up top, Lucky gets met the shot punch from Fusion. Journey looking to play off the trades, but no, it's Fusion again. 3 in a row, 32 and 27. Saving this play over toward the B zone, even depleting a bit of progress, which could be punishing in an 8v6. 23 seconds to go. Abuza also a part of this play from beyond. Ku up top, waiting for the call to go. And as Team WaR try to desperately get their way onto the zone, they are 100% shut down. A 5 spree for Fusion. Really putting nail in the coffin here. Los Pepes will finish off what seemed to be a full defensive control here on Checkmate. Last attempt would have to be by the way of Metals and Journey. Not going to be able to touch in time. And Los Pepes back into the lead on the series as they go up 2-1 in map counts after a round 5 victory here.
Fusion there goes absolutely huge. I think he ends on a 7. And just when you need your boys to step up, just when it looks like things might have gotten away in that very important round, he goes massive. One of the other Spaniards that we've talked about in this series. Coming up clutch, making things happen. Pepes really proving right now that they deserve to be here.
Yeah, looking really, really solid. And it's not just the fact that we're seeing a couple of individual standout moments, but you go back to what we saw on the Checkmate hardpoint just to get things going through that first rotation and a half. Collectively, as a full squad, they were playing just as quick, just as efficient as you would expect from a team that's been in the elite or at the top of challengers pretty much all season. But that hasn't been the case. I mean, they have had to battle their way through this gauntlet of a year and now finally getting a chance for the spotlight to be on them. And boy, have they earned it. Now up 2-1 in the series overall. Take a look back at as far as how this map series has gone. I know we've kind of been going back and forth, so that can get a little confusing. But in the blue there, Los Pepes, 250, 231. The opening checkmate hardpoint. They battle back into the round 5 defense and give themselves a round 5 win, 3-2 on the checkmate control. The only thing missing so far was what happened on Raid, and it was a 6-2 search and destroy for Team WaR. But for the map 4, map 5 combination, we're going to get a Moscow hardpoint and then a Miami search, which is where Team WaR will have to take both if they want to open up their group stage 1-0. Otherwise, Los Pepes will have not just surprises in the qualifier. I will just go ahead and say that they will surprise us with their results here in their first match.
Apologies, I lost audio for just a second there, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think I caught the end of that sentence. And yeah, no, I agree. I think that one of the interesting things about this map set, by the way, is how the maps that we're about to play are almost polar opposites to what we had before. Checkmate is a little bit everywhere. It's a bit of a scramble.
Sure.
Whilst Moscow, for me, much more structured. I think it goes under the radar. I actually think it's a really good hardpoint map. And super straight lined in many ways is going to favor maybe some different players. S&D, we had Raid before Miami. There's a lot of question marks around this map, but one thing's for sure, both bomb sites are very viable and could lead to some interesting strategies.
It very well could be the case. We'll take a little bit of a break, though. We've been going here pretty hard for the last bit, so we'll take just a brief pause away. We'll come back. It'll be a Moscow hardpoint. We'll be sticking through with Team WaR and Los Pepes the entire way through. If you want to see the final results, what's going on with Originals and Hot Tub Meta, they have been moved over to the mainstream that you can find on youtube.com/COD Challengers. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go too far. More coming up right after this.
Les gens pensent que le temps est une simple progression de cause à effet. Mais en vérité, d'un point de vue non linéaire, d'un point de vue non subjectif, c'est plutôt une sorte d'énorme boule où le temps s'enchevêtre comme un mini-mélo très complexe. I'm always here and there. Whoa. I fear of missing out and hate what I've become. And I'm torn. A handshake, a smile, yeah, the blink of an eye. Everything that can change your life in a minute. Ooh, probabilities, which way is made for me? Don't know who I wanna be. Under my skin, under my lungs out, but there are no words to make a sound. Even you can drown in the lies that you keep around. This house is not a home when you sold the only name you own.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready to go for map number 4 between Los Pepes and Team WaR. And Los Pepes continue to impress, not only through the qualification run, but they find themselves up 2-1 here versus Team WaR, only dropping the Search and Destroy. It's Moscow, though, coming up. And you were talking about it before we went to break, the polarity differences in gameplay between Checkmates and Moscow's very, very different. So a lot going to be asked once more of Team WaR to kind of battle up into this respawn action as we jump on into the second hardpoint.
Yeah, and you're actually going to see WaR spawn on that favored side for me, the side that gives you that P2 money hill right off the rip. And it's going to be the team that respects fundamental Call of Duty that comes out on top here. There's a lot of money hill points to be taken, a lot of big rotations that could come in. And I want to see teams get creative and really commit to making sure they get in nice and early and get themselves set up. And that being said, the original gunfights are going to go the way of Pepes. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, though. Scraps everywhere, 5 points apiece. And just like all the other games, we're going to see breakneck pace nice and early.
Yeah, but the little rotation that we had from Fusion is actually enough to block spawns over towards the right-hand side of the map. So we've got 50-50 north to south spawns at the moment for both teams. And it really just comes down to these last 24 seconds. What do you value more, the hardpoint time or the rotation? Really not a lot of instances where you see them be able to do both, especially with Fusion still existing around the apartment complex. Taking rent back here at the moment. Journey the first one forward, trying to track him down. You can see the respect being paid to what corner could he potentially be hiding in, but as this time is being bided, Los Pepes have full rotated over. So the scrap time of the first hill is good. The opening towards the second also going to be the same, and Team WaR need to find a way to win these opening gunfights, but such will not be in the cards. Lucky's the only one to find a kill, and Team WaR continue to spawn out.
Absolutely love the play out of Fusion. He's been absolutely brilliant there, taking his time, prioritize the rotation, and then also wins a gunfight that he has no right to win. That being said, though, WaR is just going to go, okay, we're just going to take our gunfights and just walk straight through the front door, bully themselves in. They do indeed. A boozer on a 4 streak, by the way, won't matter because Yakko's going to cut him down, and all of a sudden it's all red in the feed. So all that great work out of Fusion, all that great work out of Pepes to respect fundamental Call of Duty and all the things I wanted them to do, it won't matter.
So we'll take that conversation and just transition it over to what happens next. I mean, that's really where you're going to see that come into play between the second and third hills for sure. And you're going to get Torres just trying to watch the cross over through mid lane. Fusion playing over towards the elbow as Team WaR stack over towards gold. And you can even see Yakko. He knows that this could be a play. Sees the barrel. The gun takes him down. Now an opportunity, even though Los Pepes will open up the hard point initially for their favor. Big 1v1 in the back. Yakko gets the favor onto Ku initially, goes to the pistol, and then goes prone, waiting for help, but it will not be there. And then Journey from behind, able to find the second kill. So spawns will be flipped, and Team WaR a really good look at trying to break into this hard point, pending they can find the final kills.
A really good look indeed, and Journey goes huge with a big 2-piece, and that's the difference maker right now. The SMGs of WaR have turned up for the start of this one. They're wanting to get involved. There's no slow start out of Yakko this time. He's alongside his shooting partner. He's going to get a massive 2-piece. And, I'm not sure if he's pre-firing or if that's a little bit of extra taste.
Either way, can't be mad about it. So Team WaR, 2 good breaks in a row, but even more importantly, Yakko on 6 in a row, Journey on 5. Yakko looking to play for the streaks right here, but Fusion will deny the chance. So now Journey holding on to scrap time. Metals on the rotation, good for a couple, gets a read onto Ku down low. Does he want it? 5 bullets, just enough to get the job done. And that will mean Team WaR have gone scrap to initial between 3 and 4, and the lead looking pretty safe, at least for now. A lot of requirement coming into Los Pepes on this break attempt.
It is. They need to stop the bleeding from somewhere, and I love this play out of Fusion. He's going to get himself into gold, collapse, and now what they need to do is establish that wide setup that so many of the pro teams love to do. They need to get themselves out and cover so much ground, and it's a difficult thing to do when you're not necessarily winning all your gunfights right now against what looks like a very motivated WaR side, as trades go absolutely everywhere. Every time someone shoots, but a boozer's caught between a rock and a hard place, and both of those are WaR collars, so he's going to go down.
Scrap time looking good. Los Pepes spawning all the way over towards the third hard point are going to likely just concede this and play for a rotation favoring checkers. Fusion, the first one forward, has been not just stun check, but also stuck. But his demise will actually just be a headshot from Metals. Second attempt, not going to be good either. So Team WaR you want to talk about just playing really well off the rotation. The scrap 20 into the initial 20 of just about every single hill we've seen so far has been poetic in nature. That one in specific, really, really well executed to try to get over towards checkers and stop the initial setup from Los Pepes to ever coming into play.
Yes, indeed, you called it. They've been brilliant. They're doing exactly what is being asked of them. Metal's going to pick one up onto Fusion. And do they catch this rotation? You can see Journey making that already. He's looking to make sure that this time there's no lurking Fusion. There's no hiding players. And he's going to clear it out completely and force a very deep, far-sided spawn for Pepes. And this is suddenly becoming almost the flip of what we saw in Checkmate, where WaR running away with this. Yakko gets himself a 5 before falling, and they're just heating up, warming up. You feel it. They look good right now. Pepes, they got to answer back, or else this is over.
If you get a double positive performance out of an SMG on Moscow, you just get absolutely reinforced with confidence. If you get that much value from Yakko lurking around the map, going on sprees, it makes the rotational life so much easier. Now an opportunity, though, for Los Pepes as they do deal with some of the initial members from Team WaR, but all of that kind of really good cohesive nature that we saw from Checkmate is not there at all right now for Los Pepes. How many of these gunfights have just been 1v1s coming through, and largely it's Team WaR who can not just double down, not just triple down, but sometimes even find 4 or 5 in a row, and that's indeed the case once more, as Lucky's the next component of that. 5 straight for him at 15 and 8.
Exactly as you call it. All of the Los Pepes side will indeed drop, and this becomes a complete nightmare. And as you said about ones, Metals there getting a trade for his teammate. The trade does eventually come through, but it's only because Metals is flying at the new hill and not even looking the correct way. And this needs to be much more solid and secure from Pepes. WaR are happy to punish any mistake that's coming through. As you said about the SMGs, they're really enjoying themselves right now. Yakko, 16 and 9. We called him out for his poor start to the previous one. We should be giving him his due diligence in this one. And it's a very deep setup from Pepes. They're looking to try and finally put a stop to these endless waves of WaR.
And this is going to be just fine. This is going to take so much time for Team WaR to try to set up the same exact break that they had from the last time that we were here. Kills will kind of give you that as well. Very clean from Los Pepes. And I love this from Ku. Just move forward. You don't even have to find kills here. Yeah, it'd be great to go 1 for 1, but you get a read on where this hit's coming from, and you spawn right back up in play. So he'll be a part of this defense still. Kills coming out for Metals and Lucky. Abuza holding onto his life in Library, and Ku will do well to make sure that he stays safe. So, yeah, really good stuff here from Los Pepes. The first time that we can really say they've played essentially a perfect hardpoint off their initial setup, and it gives them a chance to kind of fight back into this map, but a lot still on the table as far as what they're going to have to do next to get closer to that 200-point mark, and a lot of it's going to coming up next on this 4th hill.
Well, indeed, and Journey, I was about to say, he had no right to be even taking that on, let alone nearly winning it. Kills will come through in the favor of Los Pepes, and this is going to turn into this really single straight lane hit now. Neither team able to get that wide setup going. Torres just looking to use the car and pray for dear life behind it. Yakko will take out his teammate. Lucky will get one on the board and clear the hill momentarily, allowing his teammate to soak up a bit of time. The problem for Pepes now is this hill being so open. Yeah. If there's any WaR presence in there, they have to try and contest, because every single tick now is edging WaR closer and closer, and this becomes problematic. Torres, by the way, 6 and 21. Sir, what are you doing?
Yeah, not nearly. I mean, it's just a tale of 2 hard points right now between both of these squads. All of the negative we threw towards Yakko, we can't praise him enough, and then all the positives for Torres has been completely taken out from under him. So, not exactly a great 4th map here for Los Pepes, but an opportunity here. If they can take down Journey, they could potentially get a little bit of a solid look at this first hard point, and anything is doable. It's just one of those things that you have to be sure you're playing for this hard point first before you're playing for the rotation to the next one, because obviously Team WaR can still win here. And well, these gunfights not bad, not at all. Lucky gonna eventually be traded out, and now for Los Pepes, it's not just the better part of the first 20 seconds, it's the better part of maybe the first 40 that you could look at to earn some score on.
Yes, indeed. Journey, though, his forward presence there did actually get a couple of favorable spawns in for, well, disadvantaged spawns for Pepes, not necessarily favorable for WaR, where they were relatively split across the map. However, they won't manage to punish it. They won't take advantage. 2 will be in the favor of WaR, and they can't win it here. P2 will be in for Pepes, but they're spawning a long way out, and this is going to have to be perfect Call of Duty. Otherwise, WaR are going to continue to bully their way straight through the front, winning every gunfight on the way. big moment here.
Well, it was a near perfect hold on the third hard point. It's going to have to be that way here for Los Pepes on the second, though. And the first 3 kills are absolutely perfect. Yako only able to take down 1. So over 200 points come Los Pepes. At one point in time, this game was about 290. We're looking at a absolutely mammoth comeback potentially on the cards. Yako for 1. Torres caught out a little bit too far forward, also denied. So it comes down to Ku. Can he hold his life? Maybe not for long enough. Fusion over the top. Cannot finish the kill on Yako. And the play in the back looking okay from Team WaR. Still trying to stack and wait for one good break attempt. It's 8 seconds between them and a map 5, but they have to find a way to break, and the kills are just not there. Los Pepes can still also win here if there's no contest, and maybe just an extra second was good enough for Team WaR to see another hard point.
That second there from Yako is the deal breaker. They still had it. They all rotated in though 4-2, and this turns into a foot race as Fusion and Torres come flying across the map to try and support their team. Journey might get some blessed timing. He does, but he will fall, and this is huge right now. It's all settled right here as Metals tries to dive in on the point and clear out Ku, who doesn't know which way they're going to be coming from.
This is everywhere. He stays down long enough. Torres comes around the back, I believe, finds the kill required. Ku just pokes his head up for air, goes right back down, and oh my goodness, I can think of a word that starts with B. Because that has to be one of the more incredible comebacks that we've seen as far as a deficit is concerned. And it all starts on that third hard point in the second rotation for Los Pepes to find a full 60. Talked about how the fourth hard point was going to be difficult for them to find any time on. They do just enough. And then a near perfect first hard point back into the third set of rotations gives them enough space to make a comeback happen. And Team WaR heartbroken after a huge lead on map 4. No chance to try to get to another search and destroy.
Yeah, I think that the main thing here for me in terms of getting to watch Los Pepes play is that mentality. How many teams have we seen just crumble under those kind of leads? How many teams have we seen perhaps just chalk it up? Instead, they just continue to commit to their setups. At one point, we were talking about how Torres was 6-21 and him and the rest of his boys just all getting together, working so well together and doing enough. And absolutely fantastic out of there. We spoke so many times about their patience and their setups and the way in which they look like they're just a well-drilled side at the minute, and they come out on top against a very difficult team. Spanner in the works. WaR. Oh, there's question marks there for sure.
It's just, that is not at all the way that you want to start up your group stage. Playing up against another qualifier team as a team like WaR, who notoriously has always been a playoff squad, to lose versus a qualifier team, not just once, but also you have to remember that they lost to this Pepes team in their process to qualify in the first place. It's just one of those things. If you're one of those bottom 4 teams, you're looking at the other 3 and you're saying we have to find wins versus them if we want to have a chance at getting into the top 2. So not a great start whatsoever for Team WaR, but for Los Pepes, taking a look back at this series, my goodness, the respawn has been close but successful for him. 250-231 on the opening checkmate hardpoint. Control also just an all defensive affair that Los Pepes were able to really keep in tow in the 5th round pretty darn convincingly at that. And then the Moscow hardpoint in the end, a huge deficit made up to give them their 3 map wins.
Yeah, no, the respawn has been brilliant. I think that one of the things was in that checkmate, they had that ridiculous lead, and then WaR got within touching distance, right? They nearly bring it back, but they see it out. Meanwhile, on the flip side of things, that just didn't happen. And as much as Pepes deserve some credit and they deserve praise for their respawn and their mentality, what is going on with WaR? This is not the side from stage 1 and 2 that we could not stop talking about.
It's puzzling, but it's something that's going to be figured out pretty darn quickly, because with that in mind, our stream schedule, we're going to be sticking with Team WaR, and they're going up against Amelia Strays. No easy task there, as they were the surprise story from stage 3, not just staying near flawless throughout the entirety of their run through the group stage, but obviously also being your reigning champ. So, doesn't get any easier for Team WaR, but that's what we're going to be jumping into next. We'll also be trying to do some live look into what's happening with the Hot Tub Meta versus Los Pepes game, which is also scheduled to be happening in the second slot. So we'll step away for a bit of a break, wait and make sure we get all of our map videos and picks all set away, and we'll be coming back with those 2 matchups for you guys in the second half of the EU region on day 1 here through stage 4 of the Challengers League. Don't go far.
time, got no patience. Living in fear and frustration. Cause I'm still on your side. Yeah, I'm still on your side. I'm still on your side. Even though I need space. I need space. I need space. another broken plan. Feels like the world is slipping through my hands. I think I'm losing control. Can't seem to find my way home. I sat and watched my only map turn itself into stone. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio silence. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you're breaking up. I wonder if you'll ever understand. I sacrifice you to avoid the end. Don't think that you'll ever know just how low I would go to save myself from all the madness in your undertones. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio silence. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you'll break it up. I think you're breaking up. We're in a different place, and nothing feels the same. I hate to break it to you, baby, but I'll be okay. Don't try to call my name, won't answer anyway. You're breaking up, but I wish that you would just fade away. I'm hoping I can find the silver lining. Transmission, but you're not replying. We're losing signal over the horizon. That's screaming over radio Feels like you have reached the end. Does it matter if you're falling down? Rocket. When it feels like you have reached the end, does it matter if you're falling down again? If it comes down to your final breath, will it matter if you're all alone in the end? There's a side of you that's ugly. Tells me how I'm supposed to be. Tell me it's not how it seems. Oh yeah, you push me. You say I love me too much. You only want me when I'm home. And then when I'm gone, you'll be on to better things. I'm losing you, even after what we've been through. I feel like I don't know you anymore. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel delusional. I can barely cope. Feels like I don't know you anymore. You say I love you too much. You only want me when I'm home. And then when I'm gone, you'll be on to better things. I'm losing you, even after what we've been through. I feel like I don't know you anymore. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel. I'm faith in you. When you say I love you too, I feel like I don't know you anymore. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel. Apathy, you never cared for the little things. I got sympathy, you'll never know how it really is. I'm losing you, even after what we've been through. I feel like I don't know you anymore. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel. You hate the songs I wrote, you make me feel alone. A million lies from home. I'm taking you approach, so put my life on hold. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel. You'll be on a better thing. I wanna breathe like I'm brand new. Why can't I feel like I'm supposed to? Don't you feel the pressure? I do. Tell me this will end soon. My mind's running away, a mile a minute, can't shake it off. A free fall, I'd give anything to make it stop. How can I be an optimist when all this feels infinite? When the darkness finds me, all this feels infinite. There's a brightest darkness finds me, then I follow blindly. How can I keep it together when all this feels infinite? It's infinite. Infinite, it's infinite. It's infinite. Through the silence, I can still hear your voice. The air aches me, still grieving for your loss. The world is fading. There is no room for joy, but I find solace in the melody of this song now. If we could go back it's kind of a pity. You say I'm missing out, but no point in trying to fix what ain't broken. No words to speak that haven't been spoken. No one can tell me who I was meant to be. I said, take me back down to the water. Don't make goodbye any harder. Don't make it harder than it has to be. This place was never for someone like me. Don't slow me down. I don't want it. I never took you for granted. I only wanted time. It seemed to me like you had it. You don't, but that's fine. There's no point in trying to fix what ain't broken. No words to speak that haven't been spoken. No one can tell me who I was meant to be. I said, take me back down to the water. Don't make goodbye any harder. Don't make it harder than it has to be. This place was never meant for someone like me. Don't slow me down. I don't want it. There's no coming back for me. Don't hold on, just let it be. There's no coming back for me. Don't hold on, just let it be. I said, take me back down to the water. Don't make goodbye any harder. Don't make it harder than it has to be. This place was never meant for someone like me. Don't slow me down. I don't want it. I don't want it. The story is getting old. Tell about how it unfolds. Why do I feel so cold? It was somewhere along the way. All my colors turned into gray, and I felt it. Why am I to stay? Something's wrong, it's controlling my mind. Makes me numb and it turns me blind. I'm losing now. I'm losing it. The scene has changed, the dark takes hold. Need to stop from caving in. Can't catch my breath 'cause I feel so cold. Silence the voices from within. Silence the voices from within. I chill running down my spine. It's trying to tell me to fold my hand and quit. I'm out of time.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting into the second slot here on day one of the stage for Elite Championships. I don't know why I said championships. It's not a championship, at least not as of yet. But we're dealing with Europe, and hopefully we'll have some sort of a championship. But we're way before that point. We're going to be taking a look at Timor going up against Amelia Strays. And I won't lie to you, Enigma. Initially, I saw this match on the schedule. I was like, there's no way that we're going to miss this one. But after the dramatics from their matchup versus Los Pepes, Timor really needs to bounce back in a major way here.
They really do. That really wasn't in the script for them. We thought they would come out, get that warm-up game against Los Pepes, and Los Pepes looked really good for it. But WaR, we mentioned it towards the back end of that previous game. Lots of questions from them, and one of them in particular is how this new side now copes underneath mental pressure. Because remember, these are the defending champions. These are a very good team. They might be at a peak. They might not. We don't know. But they've got a lot of work to do in order to take on such a side.
And for Amelia Strays, different look here, as they're not going to be running with the same roster that they had from last stage. They've actually got Wardy in the mix. So kind of a bit of a weird swap up. I'm not really sure what the decision was between, why they would get away from what they had from, a very successful stage 3 playing with Nuke. But you've got Wardy in the mix now, and we'll see what he could do. He's obviously been stapled as one of the more consistent players, I would say, throughout the year in Europe. And, well, not a bad start at all for him. 2-0 off the rip, and Amelia Strays get the first 6 points.
They do indeed. Wardy, by the way, an absolutely fantastic player without a doubt. They did try, I think, for a little bit with kids, this team. I think that they've gone through a bit of a change period. I don't know what the reason would be for dropping Nuke. Jay, like you said, they had a brilliant stage last time out. But going with Wardy, and he is a very aggressive player, likes to get involved in the mixer. But as we say that, so do Team WaR, and they come out on top in all the gunfights. They're going to take the scrap for 1. They're going to look to set up for 2. And mid-defense here from Yako. First one's good, and the rest of Amelia are going to start to fall as well.
Yeah, great reads here from Yako. Definitely not the slow start that he had in Checkmate. 5 and 2, 3 in a row. Looking for more than that. Could line up a handful. Yako for 3. Give them all 4. Give them the ace on the moment, but no. Lucky steals it away, and let's be honest, that was also first streaks, but an incredible 3-piece from Yako to get Team WaR started early.
Well, that one's going on Twitter Shift. That was something else. What a fantastic play. It gives so much map presence as well to WaR, who push all the way out. We're already halfway through this hill, and WaR have barely been pushed. However, Piero looking to get around the side. Metals is going to take on all the fights at the front. And we're speaking about Wardy and what he needed to do. And 2 kills to break in through the front of Kitchen is a good way to show the kind of pedigree that he has. Or we're just going to chalk it up, though. They're going to take the lead. They're going to give up the scrap and go for that big money hill that's next. And Wardy's actually maybe snuck around here.
Yeah, this is a really good position from Wardy. As far as Amelia Strays is concerned, you're not going to contest the opening seconds, but if you can find a way to block spawns, you could set up and just kind of chip away at this defense just by kill after kill. So see how things unfold. Team WaR heavily stacked largely over towards the gymnasium. Amelia Strays trying to work in from the same direction, but Watson, nice little poking and prodding, finds himself the first, Piero the second. So the spawns have been flipped around, and Amelia Strays haven't lost a life. That was as clean as you're ever going to see as far as a break is concerned for Garage.
Absolutely perfect. WaR for me set up way too deep, and it might be the presence of Wardy that causes that, but they put themselves in a position where they're only going to get 1 bite at the cherry there, and unfortunately that was awful because they lose every single player. It's Amelia Strays who come out on top in the gunfights, and it might have been a moment ago where we were talking about how great Yako and the rest of the Spaniards looked, but Amelia back in it, going to take the last of this scrap time as we move into basketball. Surely not a situation where WaR can afford to give up too many hills.
Oh, man. Just like that, all the explosivity that comes off the first 2 hard points immediately countered off of a clean hold for Amelia Strays. And an opportunity as they actually work their way up through Laundry to put some pressure on the favored spawns for the 4th hard point coming up here. And Piero mid-map has actually found 1 elimination. So Journey required to go big, and well, does he ever. Double for him, looking for maybe even more than that, but prefers to play for the region. And Yako picks up exactly the same angle he was locking down, but Chalkster still wants to keep the play alive, finds the double, now the pinch. Onto the hard point itself, here comes Amelia Strays. 6 in a row for Chalkster. Looking for the last to get himself some streaks, not going to get there in time as Wardy gets the shot punch, and Amelia Strays right back in position to try to get the lead back.
Going to bide their time for a second, try and find something to set up with, but it's not going to matter really if the trades are good. Oh, actually, Yakko's managed to get through. So Yakko snuck through. I thought he'd been spotted, but somehow the timing must have gone his way. He gets in round the back, 15-9. Great start. You're right. He's avoiding that slow start that he had in Checkmate, but Piero's going to cut him down in his tracks right there. And all of a sudden, Lucky has managed to wrap all the way around the back of the map here and set up that very favored pinch that comes in for this hill. Could be absolutely massive because Blue Arrows aren't looking.
And no one has any idea. Lucky doesn't finish the kill, though, and that's a bit problematic. That turns into a favorable moment overall for Amelia Strays. Yako trying to chase down kills and has enough help from Journey from behind to stay alive, and with that, Team WaR will be able to find a break. But Amelia Strays still working their way back in. Same position through Zig. Metals for one, Journey another, but it's going to be Watson trying to keep the contest alive for the scrap. Journey trying to finesse. Does at least well enough to get Lucky involved. Then Team WaR looking solid for the back 20 seconds as we look towards the rotation to new.
Very solid, great work out of them in order to just stave off what was a lot of pressure coming out of Amelia. And Amelia need to make sure that they win these opening gunfights because they didn't have a great time here last time out. It's going to be a very weird and wonderful spawn for Watson, by the way, all the way up in basketball court. And suddenly this turns into a bit of a scramble, but Ward is going to put an end to that. Gets to Yakko will just about stay alive for now. Jackster deals with that problem, and we're going to have something a bit more stable. Journey, though, could go huge. Not a single Amelia player has caught him.
Oh, this next engagement, a big one. Or how things will go, largely for if Team WaR even want to try to contest this opening hardpoint, or do they have to default to trying to play for the rotation? And not really sure where Lucky was going right there. Just runs right through the enemy lines and gets absolutely punished for it. And so, yeah, now that you've lost that engagement, trying to play for the middle portion of this first hardpoint, you have to start to work towards the rotation to new. And this is going to lead to a moment where Amelia Strays won't just retake the lead. They will be in a position to also kind of track backwards and fight for this spawn location, which is exactly what Watson's trying to do right here.
Indeed, Metals, great job out of him. Managed to get around and give his team the spawns required here. This isn't necessarily a money hill, can be extremely scrappy, but if you stave off an attack or two, then you get yourself some solid points, and Yakko's going to get one. But spawn comes in now for Amelia, and this is the problem that WaR had last time. They don't seem to consistently stave off pressure. Good at breaking, but not great at defending, and just like that, it falls back into the champion's hands, and they're going to continue to take this lead away from them. And considering how well they bullied their way into Garage for P3, I think they're comfortable to just soak this one up and do that all over again.
Another sequence where you've got Team WaR putting together win condition literally all over the place, but then all of a sudden they lose 2 straight hard points, and they're going to be tested on this third one in a row. You've got Watson in a position to try to, again, block up this AC side of Garage. Piero's going to hold down to old time because he's on 5 in a row, so he's working for streaks, and there you go. Much better from Team WaR. I was just starting to get a bit cautious and a bit apprehensive about making sure we locked in the Team WaR was going to win a rotation, but those 3 kills will be good for the effort. But still, meanwhile, Piero on 6 in a row is working for streaks.
And we almost had deja vu for a second there, right? That big long flank coming in. Yakko will indeed get the streaks. So, sorry, Piero will get the streaks onto Yakko. And this is now this big wide hit. Watson gets one and has no right to still be alive. He gets it, stays up, and they just punch straight in. What are WaR doing with their defenses to not be able to deal with this? There's now 4 streaks on the board for Piero. God, they've gone over the 200-point mark. They look good for Garage, and basketball's incredibly open. You're not going to do a great job of defending against missiles and artillery strikes if you need to.
I was just about to say that is win condition for sure when it comes to Piero earning not just 1, but both streaks. And look, I get it for Team WaR. This is not an uncommon kind of mentality of, all right, we're going to chalk up the scrap time, but let's keep one player around to finesse. But both Yakko and Metals just sat out in the open and got destroyed. Never even had a chance to even touch the hard point or play for exit kills. So as the first couple of eliminations are good for Team WaR on this hold of basketball, you have to feel like for Amelia Strays, they're going to try to get kitchen control and then drop these streaks to open up some space. And this could be the call right here. 3 in a row. Might not even need them, to be honest. You can just run forward and play the trade. That will indeed happen. Metals falls, and Amelia Strays looking at win condition. Just needing the last 20 seconds to come through. Team WaR trying to get into a position to contest, but every angle is being locked down. Sure, Journey finds a double, but He's going to have to break this from the front. That means you have to go through Jackster. Not going to be all that successful. And now the Streaks just trying to put this one away. Cruise missile not going to connect for the first. Trying to maybe bend this in, and there they are. Double kill comes through, and that will be enough for Amelia Strays to put this map to rest. So another good opportunity for Team WaR to start things off on a hot streak. But Amelia Strays, champions for a reason, 251-92.
Champions for a reason, indeed. And I got the opportunity to sit down actually with Checkmate recently on a podcast, and I spoke to him, and they're such a hungry team. They so want to prove themselves. And I mean, you've got Watson, who used to be at the very pinnacle of European Call of Duty. All of these players have had good success in the past. This piece from Yako, by the way, what on earth? Disgusting. Lucky just ruins all the fun. But the one thing as well is they seem they're super confident and loud and momentum based and very friendly amongst each other. And the thing is, WaR never really just dealt with that. Whereas you could see the energy that was brimming in this Amelia Strays side, WaR did not possess that same level of confidence and had no answer.
No, none whatsoever. And it feels, at least in some circumstances, similar to what we just got off of watching the Moscow hardpoint versus Los Pepes, where one hardpoint doesn't go your way. Okay, cool. We'll play for the next one. Wait a second. That one didn't go your way either. All right, now we've got to get Mixie on this next hardpoint. We'll lose that as well. And things just start to snowball out of your control way too quickly. So Amelia Strays jumping off to a very solid start, even in the face of what looked to be some good momentum from Team WaR, just with Yako starting off absolutely electrically, but not to be. So we take a look at the map series overall as far as what is to come here for this best of 5. It's going to be a lot of raid, and all of it up front, as we'll have the raid not just for the hard point, we also will have that for the search, and then again for the control before we would maybe have a breakup of that, which would be an Apocalypse hardpoint and a Moscow search. And going back to it, here's a bit of good news for Team WaR. They did look really, really good on the search and destroy on raid. After it was back and forth, it was 5 straight rounds essentially in a row for Team WaR to take a 6-2 win versus Los Pepes in their previous matchup.
It is, and that is definitely something for them to keep a hold of. And I do wonder about this momentum thing that we've just spoken about, and whether or not they need to find some, because that grit, that part of them that seemed to be able to dig deep all the time back in the early stages of Cold War doesn't seem to belong right now. And I just wouldn't want to see them fall far behind early on. I'd want to see them keep it nice and tidy throughout these opening rounds.
Well, we did mention a lot with Team WaR defensively was about allowing a bomb site to go into their opponent's hands and then playing off the retake. Same could be the case here as Team WaR have cleared the entirety of the B side of the map and is now looking to surround, envelop, and overwhelm this A push. But Amelia Strays, they are trying to poke and prod and see if they can find any room to work with over through Laundry. Journey has done well. It's actually first blood on the bomb planter itself. Yako a second, and Team WaR already threatening to overwhelm Amelia Strays early.
Oh, indeed, Wardy's got the entire enemy team looking back at him. Okay, what was that? You shouldn't be winning that gunfight. That's disgusting. He's going to have to get out with his life. And he's actually being hunted. I think for a second here, WaR are getting a bit overzealous. They just need to remember we're playing Search and Destroy, not Team Deathmatch. Don't let... Okay, for a second there, that got very scary.
And it all starts with getting the bomb planter down first. That's the big key for me, because otherwise, if that bomb's planted, Watson's still in a position to where he can just lock down this angle over through Laundry, and his teammates don't have to necessarily go forward to play for trades, which is how largely a lot of them met their demise. So an opportunity was there, but just barely missed, and you can credit Journey for the kill on the bomb planter in the first place. So Team WaR, once again, just playing this retake-heavy defense, and it's working out pretty nicely for him overall.
It is indeed. I'm going to see the bomb come out towards this B side, and only Watson is going to be here to defend it. Obviously, Piero can stick his nose out of kitchen if he wants to, but Yako might actually get some blessed timing here. A bit of a tightrope walk, but will lose the gunfight, so that's huge. Why did you take the bomb out there?
That is really the million-dollar question. I was going to say the same thing. Just, hope you don't lose your footing. I actually don't even know what would happen if he fell off the map with the bomb. I imagine really it probably just resets, but I don't think we've ever seen it.
Yeah, surely that's a great... I wonder if there's anyone who knows that. Surely someone has done that in a scrim somewhere.
Oh. Well, an interesting call nonetheless for Yako off the rip. It leads to Amelia Strays dealing with the offense. Really no problem whatsoever. Everyone getting involved with a single kill. So a bit of a team ace coming through. And now a 1-1 count. And I will just say this, just as a learning lesson, I'm really curious just to see if Team WaR are going to continue just to play this more retake-centric defense every single time. Different look, though, around this point is double players will be hitting over to the middle of the map, and then you're going to have an AR on either site kind of watching and playing passively. And the mid-map control has been relinquished by Amelia Strays, largely just conceding it for free. So as they get over towards the A site once more, Jacks are going to try to make a play for the plant. There will be maybe a challenge once more here for Journey, but yeah, just as he does, he gets figured out. Watson says, fool me once, shame on me, but there will be no fool me twice as he doubles up, and now an opportunity for Amelia Strays in a 4v2.
This is what I wanted to see. Can teams make adjustments to account for this retake post-plant strategy that WaR go with quite a lot? And the answer looks like a very resounding yes, unless Lucky can go absolutely huge here. He's caught between three. Wardy will finish it off. So, no, that's great out of Amelia. They recognize, okay, WaR are just going to play for the retake. They immediately recognize that there was a rotation back from the ARs. You see them back off and allow them to put the bomb down. Okay, we're ready for it this time. And as you said, doesn't come through for the second time. They, very heads-up play there.
Yeah, extremely. And there's really only two ways that you deal with that kind of retake-centric defense. Number one is you bunker up, wait for it to come to you, and you meet it kind of head on. The other would be, okay, we know that they're giving us some space here through laundry. Maybe we try to just push through. And that could be the other way to deal with it. But getting immediately into this round, a little bit more aggression through the middle of the map, at least to start, as Team WaR are heavy focused towards the outside of the ring, and will result in a 1-for-1 exchange, which means that we are going to be resulting in a 3v3 overall with a minute to play.
It's much more patient out of WaR, though. I do think they'll be okay. I'm not sure where Piero was looking, but bomb will go down now, and 2v3 scenario. This looks good for WaR. Chaxter going to get aggressive. Fair enough. Nice little pick there. Gets in, gets out, doesn't enough. And this is interesting.
Extremely. Journey going to get, so not just favored timing, but even these tags from behind will mean that he knows exactly where the second engagement's going to come from. And that will be enough to tie things up at 2 apiece with a double kill coming through. And I'll say this much, both teams are really doing a nice job of figuring each other out early. I mean, we've seen the adjustments so far from a team like Amelia Strays, especially on their offense, but the same can realistically be said about Team WaR. On this attack, much more controlled as far as how they wanted to approach the A site.
Yeah, much more controlled indeed. I liked the fact that they just bade their time a little bit. Okay, they're probably expecting us to try and get this bomb down immediately. Let's watch for them getting aggressive and pick someone off. And they do just that, giving themselves all the favors when it comes to the numbers. A lot of attack rounds going people's way at the minute. And trophies and nades go absolutely everywhere. It's, again, a very deep setup from WaR. Do we see more adjustments, or do we just see a repeat?
Well, this time the adjustments for Amelia Strays is they're going to actually wait to see if there is some sort of a flank push through. We saw Los Pepes try to do the exact same thing, and almost at the exact same moment in the search and destroy. Right around round 5 when they tried to hold off a bit on their attack, seeing if they can bait Team WaR into rotation. But for Team WaR's defensive POV, they're sitting there saying, we haven't seen anything, so no need for us to rotate yet. Let's make the Amelia Strays make the first move.
And the onus is indeed on Amelia, who nudged forward just enough. I think that they're still just looking for a pick from somewhere, but nothing giving. The shots will be rung out, but there's nothing really happening here. Chaxter will go for the bomb down, and the timing is fantastic. That's the play there. Bomb will be out in the middle of no man's land. A very difficult situation for Amelia Strays.
Well, it's got to be on Wardy first and foremost. He's got to make this play from behind, actually find some success. Lucky, prone, but actually steps up from it right as Wardy comes across. So there's the first elimination, but time is going to be a problem for a plant. It's largely going to be eliminations in the mix here. Wardy trying to chase down one, finds it, gets Yako. Now it's just down to 1v1 versus Metals. Has the timing to take the gunfight and just wins it in time. Just when you thought that Team WaR had done enough, getting the bomb planter off the site once more. It's not to be. This is a 2v3 situation successful for Amelia Strays.
Huge round out of Wardy, the new kid on the block, the one that we have all the questions for, just like Yako on the opposite side of things. And maybe Metals just gets it wrong, or it's a bad call out or something, but run away. Run Hail Mary yourself straight down the ramp. Get away from the situation. You don't need to be Oh, sorry, wait. Yeah, they were on defense, right? Yeah, they
Indeed,
were.
yeah. Yep.
Crazy play.
Yep. And I mean, the other call could have just been the simple fact that, someone says, hey, Wardy's one bullet. It's just Metals gets caught. I mean, doesn't even get a shot off, which I think is the most puzzling thing about the entirety of that engagement, whether it was well forced or maybe just mistimed as far as Metals running away. But regardless, we find ourselves with Amelia Stray's advantage, but first blood now for Metals, as it will be an early 4v3. And the aggressive flashes coming out as Journey continues to play forward will allow Team WaR to get a very convincing plan on A. But once more, this post plant, a bit split up. 2 players front, 2 players back. Piero good for 1 with the Semtex. And Watson should know that there's a second player nearby. So as soon as Piero gets his regen, figure that Amelia Strays will try to aggress. But just as they attempt to, Metals on the cross, able to keep things neutral and level at 2v2 status. Time becoming a bit of a problem. 20 seconds on the clock. And Metals tries to go up top, denied. Lucky now the last one left alive. Gonna play a timing here, but as he tries to stay alive in Art, it's Wardy who chases him down. Never had to second guess that push through, and Amelia Strays have stolen 2 rounds back to back, put themselves up 4-2.
I'm scratching my head on this one. I don't understand how these last 2 rounds have not gone WaR's way. It's win condition, as you call it. Here, the setup great. They've got the bomb down. I'm not exactly sure how they lose that. They really, really are going to end up watching that one back and being like, what went wrong? I'm sure that they've got a couple of coaching members scratching their heads too, because WaR throwing rounds away in a position where they really can't afford to be. Remember, they lost to Los Pepes. This is a big game for the context of their season.
Unbelievable. This was I feel like the reaction that I had watching over Team WaR largely through the opening portions of last stage as well. It's like, how? A team that has been so good in these kind of, especially search and destroy, low number situations, 2v2s, 2v1s, they typically find their way to ice up and clutch, but that has not been the case at all through stage 3. And so far in stage 4, they're showing signs of vulnerabilities as well. So opening engagement favorable for Amelia Strays. They're up 4-2 and 4-3 overall in the numbers count for this 7th round. Bomb is over towards A, but not confidently enough to go for a plan as of yet. Challenge over the middle of the map is won by Journey, but here comes the flank play from Watson. Assistance from Checkster. Oh, that's not great news. Lucky misses the punch, and Checkster actually doubles up, and now it's just on Metals for a 1v3.
Just so messy, isn't it? It's just, as you said, it's not that team that we just remember from being, they would always edge out those tight moments. If things were really close and gritty and messy, you would expect them to come out on top, and they don't again. And this is an example of it. And Shaxter's going to be getting loud and proud about that one, because he, by all rights, should have been dead. And 5-2, this is that momentum build again. WaR on the wrong side of it yet again. And they've got to dig deep. We've been saying it throughout this evening. We've been watching them closely, and they've really got to find something now. You've got Lucky 2-7, Yako 2-5. It's just not enough.
No, really isn't. And now the opening attempt for Team WaR to go over towards B has been completely shut down just by some spam shots from Watson. Nearly actually gets an elimination off of that. Second attempt nearly gets that one to Lucky. So beams coming out of the rifle of Watson at the moment. He has single-handedly defended this B site, even baited out a little bit of utility as well, which is also good news. And on 4 in a row, he's going to maybe even call for a bit of assistance. You've got Piero and Wardy mid-map that are going to be kind of the flex players rotating back and forth between the B and the A site. But just as you thought a threat was going to be established, both at the A and B site, it's Amelia Strays who find the first 2 eliminations. 4v2 situation. Journey trying to play for a trade, but caught off guard. And, well, last hope was Yako with nowhere to go. And a 6-2 for Amelia Strays. Heavy favor so far in this series.
Heavy indeed. It looked like they really didn't have a plan or an answer there. And this one in particular, you see, how many times have we spoken about how great this team are as a group, and they work well together, they get each other's trades, and there's nothing there for the first one. And then Journey is just walking straight across the middle of the screen, basically. A free kill. We hop over to Los Pepes against Hot Tub Meta. And I do believe Hot Tub Meta lost their last series in the Game 5 round 11.
They did, yeah. So a bit of surprise from the originals, and we saw a couple of those opening maps, but finished off on the mainstream. Yeah, round 11, map 5, loss for Hot Tub Meta. Los Pepes obviously winning versus Team War in dramatic fashion, looking to double up on their first day. And, well, we're still seeing this Checkmate hardpoint, man. They have looked really good here. And I will say, you know, as far as out of all of the maps you could be opening up your elite debut on, doing this on a map like Checkmate, I would say holds more favor than this about anything else. This is a difficult map to really manipulate, and Los Pepes have done it beautifully so far.
It is. It's super scrappy, super contesty. Everything's everywhere. This isn't one of those that you can steal away by playing good fundamental Call of Duty. You need to be good across the board. I hate this map when it comes to control and search, but I do think it's a good hardpoint map, all things considered. And they're currently dealing with a hot tub meta side full of class, full of quality, very, very well. Fusion 25 and 14, who's been having a fantastic evening, and just across the board, a lot of players contributing to the hill time, all of them nearly at or over a minute. Great stuff so far. And the scrap for the P3 continues, and then onward to that northern container hill.
And numbers are going to favor Hot Tub Meta on this rotation, but Zero will be tested down this long lane. This is where you feel like the first bit of Los Pepes will try to challenge from, but pinstripe kill feed will mean that things will stay relatively neutral in the middle of the map, and actually Abuza having the last word will actually allow an opportunity for Los Pepes to take the middle of the map, and beyond that also just overwhelm Zero, who has to try to back away. But just as he does, he falls, and Los Pepes have been put into a really kind of trying situation once more and come out cleanly away from it in their favor. Win condition now established as they go over the 210 mark. And for Hot Tub Meta, this is so tough because you have to fight for this time, but at the same point, you lose this next on engagement, you're going to lose the map.
You are indeed, and Ku, by the way, has gone absolutely huge mid-map. Nelson shouldn't be winning that gunfight. Fair enough, good shots. Don't do that and follow it up, for goodness sake. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Ku, by the way, stayed up in the mid-map by himself and cleared out about 4 players to give his team complete control of northern containers. And we rotate next into that wood hill. Neither team's prioritized it yet. Hot Tub Meta will continue to hold the spawn, but right now they're happy to play for scrap time because they're so close they can almost taste it. And you need Hot Tub Meta here to really, really set up well and sustain quite a few waves of pressure as they intend to get around the back.
Yeah, it's got to come off of Joe. You feel like first and foremost is playing in this middle position, but actually they completely lose track of what happened up by Concrete. So Los Pepes have gotten just enough pressure to flip the spawns around. Very aware of this as Hot Tub Meta, quickly trying to correct their mistakes by holding a setup from the front. But there's a lot of time here, 35 total seconds to be exact. And for Los Pepes, they're trying to clear their lanes and then just play for some of this scrap time, which is still win condition for them. But as the engagement unfolds, Ku, the last player to stay alive, should be challenged once more. And Hot Tub Meta actually winning enough in the engagement to also repossess the spawn. So the game will extend, and Los Pepes will have to try to win this on the next hardpoint coming up inside the plane.
Yeah, and it's again going to that single file. Abuza's going to stick at the back there and make sure that no flank ends up coming through to pinch them. But then again, I'm not sure if Los Pepes, I'm not sure I agree with this. They've gone all the way around the plane. They've wrapped. Instead of setting up and getting themselves sorted, they tried to make something ambitious happen. You didn't need to do that. And suddenly you've opened up a window here for Hot Tub Meta to answer back and make this game really close. That being said, Fusion going to get around the back, shoots defrag, and will be able to now execute that pinch. As I call it, he falls, and this turns into a scrap.
Boy, there's an opportunity here with the numbers, but Ku finds 2. Zero stick will be enough to keep this play alive, but not long enough. It's going to have to be on to Joe. To enter on in, Torres just spamming through the woodwork. Good for another elimination. Nolsett, more heroics? Not quite. 245, only a couple more seconds to go through, and the kills are very convincing. Los Pepes. I mean, look, beating Team WaR is one thing, but then coming into this one where you've got the opportunity to take down another really strong qualifier team and do it on a map like Checkmate Hardpoint in convincing fashion. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about what we've seen so far from these guys on the evening so far.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing to be talking around top 2, and I think we can leave those conversations for a later date. But if you do want to have any chance of trying to avoid relegation and be a part of the playoffs, which should be the goal for anyone that's come through the qualifiers, then you've got to be taking maps and games from the teams around you. And they look super convincing in their respawn, which is very impressive because as we've said multiple times, they've been a team that was largely placed between that like top 32 and top 12 hell bracket situation. They're coming out here and saying, look, we're actually good enough to be here. We've just been unlucky.
And you know, that is one of, I think, you know, the problems that a lot of people in that range, like you mentioned, continue to gripe about is like, we have to play up against the best teams at some point when we're trying to get to Sunday every single weekend. And to be fair, outside of the most recent Open, they haven't seen a Sunday yet. So, I mean, they've been in that grindstone, like you mentioned, for the entirety of the season. I mean, looking back over the spreadsheet, I mean, the average placement for the team, these four guys on the year, as far as their event placements have been, is like 22nd, which is by far and away the highest value that we have currently inside this stage of the elite. But it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. You get a little bit of a hot spell, you get through that qualifier bracket, and all of those top 32, top 16 placements are enough just to get you into the bracket in the first place. You upset Team WaR on your way to an upper bracket qualification, and now all of a sudden it's looking like that's not just an upset, that's going to be a regularity with how these guys are playing so far on the day.
No, yeah, completely. And I think part of it is that hunger and desire, right? They know what it's like to be in that mixer. They know what it's like to be a part of that just bloodbath that those positions turn into. And they're wanting to avoid that for the rest of the season 100%. They're wanting to put themselves in amongst the pinnacle. This is their opportunity to do it. They know they might not get another, so why not Hail Mary it right now? Bring out your set plays, your party tricks, and just really get yourselves going.
It's unbelievable. It really is. And, you know, this is already, I would say, as far as maybe unexpected teams going into a stage, whether it's just because they played a hot day, you know, you're talking about your opening 3Gs, your aerial arises, your pushing gamings, maybe even your triumph from last stage in North America. You know, they kind of surprise their way in and then they fall flat. That is not the case at all. I mean, Los Pepes, they surprised their way in, and now they're finding a couple of really key wins on a number of really well contested maps, both in their first series versus Team WaR, and then even again right there versus this Hot Tub Meta squad. But with that in mind, you know, our focus is going to continue to stay mostly on what we have on the screen right here, which is Team WaR versus Amelia Strays. And talking about Team WaR, man, it would feel terrible to start off your group stage 0-2. A little bit more acceptable, you would feel like, to lose to a team like Amelia Strays, you know, because they are reigning champs. But at the same point, I think everyone who's watching the EU Challenger scene would say this Amelia Strays team could be vulnerable, bringing in a new fourth for the first time.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. They could be vulnerable. It's also that thing of, okay, did they go through a previous hot streak and then that's as good as they're going to be at some point in the season, really? And also you get meta change and all sorts of things. I think the thing for me now is that this question around WaR, at the start of the season, like the first two stages, I would comfortably have been putting them in the conversation for best European team.
Yeah,
now,
a lot of people would have.
Are they even the best team in Spain? Like, they are struggling, and they have been for a bit, and they've just been undone by Los Pepes. Okay, only half a Spanish side, but still, they also had Mavericks last time out, and they are under it right now, backs against the wall.
You got to keep in mind that Mavericks team still waiting for them. So we'll see. I mean, that conversation could very well become definitive after this stage. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we still have a control to deal with. And defensively, Amelia Strays, perfect. All four players finding a kill each. No one falling. And now Team WaR have to fight out of their spawn in the first 30 seconds of the map.
This is where I want to see the mentality, the willingness and the desire to drive out from this side. Journey's going to pick up the first kill for his team. He falls as well, and suddenly they are in a blender. Yakko gets a big one that will allow them some breathing room to get out, and he's going to send it straight up the middle of the map, but he's going to be on his own because Chaxter's winning gunfights like that. Okay, Amelia are looking good.
They've only dropped 2 lives. I mean, oh my goodness, if he gets the turn, just chalk up the round, go next. There is still an opportunity to get on to A here, though, with that elimination, and even beyond that, the one on Awardy is pretty solid. Piero has stayed alive. Metals, playing for the trade, will eventually find it. So Team WaR, first tick of progress, good. Second on the way, but it's slow coming. So Amelia Strays do have an opportunity to make a decision of, do we want to play for this? But as soon as that decision was about to come through, Team WaR make it for them as they triple stack, and that will mean that Amelia Strays no chance to touch. So an extra 60 seconds, sure, but Team WaR are having to fight back versus about a 10 life differential they've cut it at least now, for at least 4 now, I should say, down to just 7.
Watson getting a little bit trigger happy there. Will give us away his position before anything comes on through. Journey will catch something with a flash. Is looking for something, but I mean, 2 kills for Amelia, and this next wave is surely chalked and dusted. And then Watson continues to go big. He's on a 5. Maybe worth keeping an eye on whether he gets the streaks. Make that 6. This young man has been sat up in this house for pretty much the entire round and still is fresh enough to shoot shots like that. And all of a sudden, if you're WaR, you've got 2 hits at it at best.
Yeah, that's the big key. And you can't just do this from the front. So you're going to see a lot of these Team WaR members trying to keep continually working into kitchen. But the problem is Checkster is locking down this middle lane. You've got Piero responsible for the cutout window, and he's done well to help out onto Journey. And 6 playing up against 19, it just does not look all that doable. And realistically, outside of Journey, Team WaR barely even loaded into this lobby because there's a collective 5 total kills between 3 players, which is not going to be enough no matter what side of the control zone you spawn on.
It is not. Watson, by the way, just trying to find those streaks. There you go. There's the artillery. Spins looking, oh, nearly. But that was as dominant as it could possibly be. I think that A comes through purely because Amelia go, you know what, let's just chalk it. It's fine. Forget about it. For WaR, it's just one of them. We haven't seen them at any point dig themselves out of a hole so far this evening. Every time they find themselves struggling, it's relatively over. And I wouldn't be putting any money anywhere near them right now because Amelia look like they are loving every minute of this.
Yeah, this is, I mean, not just in this control, by the way. Looked that they were loving themselves in the raid, search, and destroy. And by the end of that opening hardpoint, looked very comfortable and confident all the way through. So we wanted to ask the question, was it kind of just, you know, a honeymoon period opening stage for Amelia Strays? Not looking like the case, as, I mean, this is about as convincing as it is. I mean, they are coming off of a 0-3 loss to Elevate, by the way. So, I mean, those are your number 1, number 2 from last stage. And maybe we could have made an argument that Amelia Strays is looking a bit weakened up, but not here, not today. Definitely the case, as they open up even this offensive half with a favorable set of gunfights, and that'll mean that the A zone is under threat of capture.
And the thing is for me there as well is that Amelia weren't actually playing for any sort of objective progress. They were purely shielding Watson to try and get him that cruise missile. It doesn't even come in, and they couldn't deal with that. And the fact that Lucky, Metals, Yakko all half triple neg is pretty much says everything. And then Lucky's going to catch a Hail Mary between his teeth as A comes in. So, I mean, look, it can be gun skill, it could be momentum, but also sometimes a bit of luck just does not go your way. And Amelia continue to slay out.
Wow. I mean, this is as dominant as we've ever seen. And just looking at the names on the page, you would never have guessed that. Or if you were to have, maybe a couple of weeks ago, you would have said it the other way around. But
yeah,
not the case. Wardy doubles up, kind of flanking behind the play through kitchen. That'll be an opportunity to play for some B progress. Yakko does well to find 1 kill in spawn. That'll delay the offensive reinforcements, but still holding on to the life as Checkster at 13-8 on 3 in a row. He very well could be at least the catalyst for success. Even wins a gunfight off screen. Piero mid-map nearly gets the best of Journey, but help was there, and Team WaR can at least defensively stabilize some of this over towards B.
Holding on for dear life, clinging on by fingernails for sure. I mean, at a point there, the AR duo on WaR were 8 and 23. And if you want to see where it is that they're struggling, well, whether it's the SMG duos just getting nice and aggressive, or the fact that Wardy is 15 and 7 and just really going for it, it's just, they have not managed to get themselves set up comfortably. And they're just winning gunfights as well that you just shouldn't be. You can play great COD if you want to, but if you're shooting like that, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just going to bully them.
Well, the bullying is definitely in play. Second tick of progress also going to be earned, but Team WaR will be able to contest and make sure the third, at least for now, stays safe, or will it? Checkster, goodness. Nearly a chance to double up. It would have been absolutely unfathomable for him to be able to do it. Yakko now a position forward, but it's 5 playing up against 12. That's the big problem here. So playing for trades in the next 40 seconds has become win condition for Amelia's trades in this offense.
It has, and they can probably Even do a bit more than that. There is a flank coming in from Journey, who could get a couple of kills on his team side, but it's not going to matter if his teammates all fall in front of him. He gets the first, does get the second. So that is a little bit of something as time starts to come into the equation, but it's only one tick needed for Amelia. Chaxter is very, very far forward, and to be honest, he could probably just dive on this.
Not going to need to, though. I was about to say that could be a potential just to elongate this, because really the only win condition for Team WaR was the clock. But it was really kind of a moot point in the end. But it's just, you talk about these gunfights that you shouldn't be winning. This is Piero entering solo into kitchen with the Krig, and then says, you know what? How about another close range battle with Lucky taking pre-shots at the window as well? It's just, you know, I know online COD is a hell of a drug, but this is something different besides just connection. This is a beatdown, and has been realistically through the last 2.5 maps. So for Team WaR, they not only need a reverse sweep in the series, they're going to need a little mini reverse sweep here in the control just to see the 4th map.
Yeah, they're going to need to play the perfect sweep for sure, and 12 and 23 between Metals and Yakko is not the way to go about it, but Metals will get that first blood, and this will allow them to get aggressive, and Yakko actually is going to come in here on the pinch, but I think he's missed Chaxter, who's going to get himself into a lovely little position. Call out maybe came through, but it's not going to matter because he gets the first. He should not win a gunfight with a 74U over that range. I am sorry, you should not be. This is pinnacle Call of Duty or amateurs. Someone shoot back at this man. Goodness me.
Nice little gunfight win there for Journey. Oh, man. You make it sound so abusive, but you're so right. I mean, this isn't your normal public league play games. Let's get these guys going, and Team WaR actually finding a bit of success across the map entirely. So this A zone is going to have to largely be chalked, and I love this from Team WaR. Just keep one player on, try to punish them in spawn. If you find a couple of good gunfight wins here, you're instantly onto the B zone. Journey, for one, never checks his left. So with that, Watson's able to at least find one in response, and that'll keep the back safe for Amelia Strays, as they, of course, and impendingly will lose the A zone.
Make the smart play, just chalk it up and allow yourself to get set up. The gunfights have all been going your way, so force WaR to take them instead. Metals is looking to get around the back here, and if he doesn't get spotted, he could play spoiler to any sort of defensive setup, because he's going to be causing the opposite side spawns, as you've just seen for Piero. And it's interesting out of Amelia, because they've gotten super aggressive. Don't know if I agree with it, because they don't have site control.
No, they do not, nor mid-map control, as they eventually lose a couple of members that were lingering, kind of, again, playing for the ones. So Watson has to back away. Piero has actually worked his way all the way around the back, but his position has been revealed. Yakko is going to say, okay, he's got a Krig. Don't want to take this challenge. Let's just wait for one of my ARs to get into position, and they do. So Team WaR now through the middle of the map, they've got the opportunity to just walk on into the B site from behind. And for Amelia Strays, their defense really just relies on what happens here from bottom bedroom, and it's going to have to just be on to Watson. Does keep his life pretty nicely. Chaxter rotating over will be able to make sure the B zone at least stays contested, and he actually could do a little bit of work depleting the second tick of progress as well.
Indeed. Gotta remember that Watson does have the artillery if it comes that far. I don't know if they'll invest it yet. You are in an opportunity, obviously, to see out straight 3-0. Very comfortable, but they love this aggressive house push. They love getting there. They give up map control so freely, and for whatever reason, it works for them. They are 4 lives down at the minute. WaR are going to gobble up all of that map presence and get themselves into a spot to attempt to hit, but they're expecting this, and Yakko is going to have to go big, but won't matter because Chaxter gets what feels like his 19th two-piece of this series. All 4 go down, and 30 seconds left, even lives. Not good.
Wait, where has this been from Chax? I mean, the beginning of the year, it just looked like it was going to be a rinse, wash, repeat of what happened last year. In 16th place, top 32s, pretty much largely throughout until they qualify for stage 3. And then from there, it's just lightning beams, apparently. I mean, like you mentioned, it feels like every single life we're seeing him get a 2-piece. That's going to come through again. Amelia Strays even going to put the artillery strike in, not that it was needed. And that'll not just be a 3-0 in the control, but a really comfortable 3-0 on the series for them to bounce back after their loss to Elevate.
Yeah, it kind of sums up that series a little bit with the fact that the artillery comes in, and the only thing that Watson hits is Chaxter, because his teammates have killed everybody else. There's no one left to kill, and yeah, it's incredibly convincing. And the worry for me now with WaR is, we said it before, it's one thing for them to come out and be bullied by Amelia defending champions,
Sure.
or in a rebuild process, whatever. They were also undone handily by Los Pepes. They had a considerable gap where they fell behind in that checkmate. They gave up a considerable lead. Sorry, they gave up a considerable lead in the checkmate, had the considerable gap in the Moscow. And there's, I love this side. I love the Spanish community and all of that, but there is little positives to bring to the table on this one.
And just looking forward, because I'm curious, tomorrow they go up against the hot tub meta and then elevate. So the path does not become any easier. And at this point and stage, I mean, yeah, I think if you were to look at Team WaR on your schedule and your opponents that you have in front of you, a loss to Amelia Strays is okay. But if you're going to be a definitive, at least knockout bracket participant, you've got to at least be able to take down the qualifier team. So a loss to Los Pepes now makes that a requirement, to where you essentially have to get a win versus Hot Tub Meta tomorrow. And then beyond that, you still have matches that you have to go against Orglis and Mavericks, two teams that got the better of them in stage 3. So the path is not easy for Team WaR, and it's not a great situation or conversation to be having after day 1 is over. Like after day 2, okay, we've got to really put something special together. Okay, but to have that be required of you after only playing 2 matches is not great news for the WaR boys.
It isn't, no. And we do still have several games left to go. You're right. But I mean, at some point, you need to start getting on the board, because this very quickly spirals into that situation where, okay, we have to win now. There is no second chances. And I think last time they scraped in through fortunate other results, they're not going to be in the position to even have that happen if this kind of thing continues. If we're sat here tomorrow and they've lost both games again, Hot Tub Meta, they might be a qualifier team, but that's a very good side. Elevate, I mean, they're phenomenal. So very quickly, this could become extremely desperate. And
right,
where do you go from here?
I guess my mind and first and foremost would go to just the move in the first place. You know, we don't really know the stipulations of why Invidian goes from main AR to coaching. It might just be, you know, maybe he thinks it's his time. I mean, he's got a really good mind for the game. That much is clear. But how long do you give this roster swap, I think, is probably going to be the impending question. So we'll see how things unfold with that. But we go over to our second focus, Hot Tub Meta. They find themselves down to Los Pepes in the series, and now they're going to have to battle back into the Search and Destroy, but it's Torres who finds a trade to immediate first blood, but beyond that, his skill, extra value, because it was on the bomb planner, and beyond that, he's actually found a second. So in the end, it is just Fusion down to a 1v2, finds the first long-range shots. This is a bit of SMG and SMG crime, but Defrag says, I'll take the long-range weapon, thank you very much. Spam shots are decent, but not perfect. And that's actually enough to push Defrag back away from this B site.
Just trying to bait out Fusion here, and he does it perfectly. Absolutely great play there. I loved it. When he picked up the bomb and immediately began to run, I thought there's a timing window here where one of you comes out badly, and Defrag just reads it really, really well there and catches Fusion trying to make the aggressive rotation. Very good stuff indeed. And actually, wow, this is one heck of a set of movement from Torres. I imagine he does get traded out there, but that's really good stuff out of him. And Hot Tub Meta will take the first. And we saw this last time from Los Pepes. They're not, they're not flawless when it comes to search and destroy. So if Hot Tub Meta are going to get themselves back into this game, this is the opportunity.
And you have to keep in mind that for Hot Tub Meta, just to reiterate and kind of reinforce your point, they looked great on the Express versus the Originals in map number 2. But this, not a great start. First 3 kills will be won by Los Pepes as Ku somehow doubles up. Nolson by himself. Beautiful long-range shots. Opportunity for a second, but he would have been hard-pressed to get away from a third, even if he wins that gunfight. So with the numbers, Los Pepes come with an offense of their own, and we get tied up very early at a 1-1 apiece.
We do indeed. And this is a map as well that kind of, a lot of maps over the course of the season have developed into this, where they don't massively favor offense or defense. Your only exceptions being Checkmate, obviously,
Sure.
because that map is interesting at best. And then Miami. But yeah, this map is very much so open to interpretation, open to different strategies. It doesn't always have to be this big hit. Never mind, everyone's going to turn into a bloodbath.
A lot of tags though onto Joe, so he's not going to be able to play just for this B side as of yet. Torres over the top, good for 1. Resets. A little bit of whack-a-mole with Joe, but it's actually 0 from the long angle that finds the kill. So now you turn your attention to Ku on the flank. will find his third straight kill, almost good for a fourth, but Zero standing a bit too tall will turn things into a 2v2.
It's rotation coming in from Fusion, and actually Hot Tub Meta have given up B. They're going to move this bomb around, and it's the opposite side to where Fusion went, so we'll give them the breathing room required to execute, and at some point, Los Pepes are going to realize and begin to move away, but if that bomb goes down beforehand, which it looks like it will, then this could set us up for a really interesting post-plant situation. Zero wins a huge gunfight onto a Boozer. He knows where the second is, gets away with his life. Huge plays out of him, and it's all down now to Fusion, who's been great so far, but up, down, around, and everywhere, and wins a gunfight. He has no right to. 5 HP will get traded out. It goes down, and it is just that close in this search already. This is going to be a good one, I feel, Shift. What a great set of rounds already.
And we're seeing a lot of really great special individual moments. Zero right here, kind of just playing the long con by continuing to play through TV. Gets a handful to make sure the B zone is looking good for their offense, but then the other gunfight up top, beautiful for him to find a third in the round, and nearly still a moment, though, where Los Pepes, you're getting a lot of individual finesse from Ku, Fusion, and Torres. Nearly a chance for another 1v2, but like you mentioned, incredible for him to find the first. Would have been a miracle to find the second gunfight right over the top of him. So now Los Pepes, our first offensive look over towards A, and they've got complete vacancy of the site to play with. Whether they know that or not is the other conversation, and that is not a great stun from Joe. He actually will not get much of a read as far as what's in front of him, including Torres, who does find first blood as the bomb gets planted for Los Pepes.
Yeah, well, Torres plays that great. He just gets himself into a little ratty corner. I know it's not the best term for it. It's not the nicest word in the world, but I love when players do that. It just causes so many question marks for the rest of the game because you just don't know where he's going to be. And Defrag might be out in amongst it here, but he's not going to get any sort of blessed situation. He will fall. It's down to 0. And just like that, that was as convincing as you can answer back with 2 apiece. And so far, all the attacks just look really, really good.
And it's a bit of a gamble stack, you know, from the other POV, just talking about HTN, you know, all 4 members largely putting their focus over towards the other bomb site. It really is just Joe that has a chance to check to see what's going on over towards A. And I don't want to say that the round is cost because he misses that stun, but it doesn't help when you get no information because you beef a stun. I mean, there could have been a trophy down anyways, but even still, if your nade gets destroyed by a trophy, that's information that there is some sort of a setup happening towards A. So, you know, call a spade if you'd like, but Hot Tub Meta with their gamble stack does not pan out. And now on the offense, a little bit of hesitation as far as what they want to do. I mean, you see Zero all the way in the back of the map. He's hugging the out of bounds line at the moment, essentially. Joe, hello, easy first. Ku actually does check his corners and finds Zero at hefty range. So just when you thought that the Hot Tub Meta patience was going to pan out, it does result still in a 3v3. Fusion, nobody checked him, and even finds a stick. Oh my goodness. Los Pepes now find themselves up 3-2 after another incredible double comes in.
I feel like we've put a lot of conversation tonight into Fusion, into Torres, a couple of these players. Ku goes massive again, by the way, as we watch that sticky comeback. That is right center chest right there. But I'm not exactly sure how he wins that gunfight against Zero. Zero's watching the flank long way back. And the fact that Ku picks it up puts so many question marks into Hot Tub Meta because they have to make a decision then. Okay, do we double back or do we fly forward? We can't stay here. We're trapped. And it brings it out for him. 6-2. Great start by the young man.
Los Pepes, again, aggressive towards A, but this time it's actually going to be Abuza playing up through the middle of the map, just waiting to see if maybe he can find someone crossing. But Hot Tub Meta will not make the same mistake twice. They are already in a position to not just get a stun check off, but also have defensive members nearby to try to contest this plan. Torres still playing inside the trains. Caught maybe a bit on the reload. Not going to have a chance for the first gunfight. Actually going to be back down as well as Defrag makes his play forward. He's working this right alongside a couple other HTM defensive members. It's just Zero trying to watch up top. Defrag finally getting the first blood. Sees Torres. And at this point, you have to sit there and say, go ahead. Try to make a play for the defuse. Abuza not going to find the first kill. And it just falls on the shoulders of Torres for what would be a 1v4. This is difficult. He's going to have people watching him no matter what angle he decides to peek, including that one by Zero. So Hot Tub Meta get the defuse right back in and stay not just alive in this map, but they tie right back up at 3 apiece.
Yeah, I'm not sure who wins. We're going to see it here, actually. It is 0. So, yeah, this is a big gunfight onto a Boozer. This could have been the moment there where you see everything kind of crumble and them get collapsed upon. But he's aware enough to know that Abuzer's got to be around somewhere, picks it up. And actually, speaking of Abuzer, he's currently 1-4, the Belgian King. I'm not sure if that's his real nickname or if I'm making that one up. But he's not starting out very well. And in those AR battles, you've got to be getting in nice and early. And so far, it's not been going his way. And we're going to see a bit of a spread push from both teams here as the first blood does come through. Again, Abuzer not coming out on top.
And it's a lot of attention right down the middle for both teams. But like you mentioned, Los Pepes, as soon as they get through that area, which was not cleanly through, they just kind of hit the spread out motion. And well, that's a good trade from Ku to keep this round at least somewhat manageable. Torres on the flank has also been allowed to move pretty far behind this play. And honestly speaking, Ku just needs to play for intel, because Torres could check this from the side over by the train. And if he finds the bomb planter, we're looking at a really interesting situation. But he does make the play for the bomb carrier. And as he does, forces him into a tradable position. Ku? Oh, wait a second. Did no one see him? No, no one did. Finds the first. Can he get away? Yeah, sure does. Turns it into a 1v1 where Nolson will play the safe route and say, I'm going to go ahead and back up and try to reset this gunfight.
And he's also trying to find his own little bait out here. He's trying to predict Ku on the rotation. Now, this is a gamble because if he doesn't step out here, this suddenly is an awful play. And Nolson's suddenly not sure of it himself either.
No way. Round has now gone away. Ku, does he still actually play through? Nearly does, but the round comes to a close. And I think even if the time didn't force that, it looked like the gunshots were good enough to win the gunfight. But it's just, that is literally, I mean, you called that perfectly. It's Nolson sitting here saying, oh, I rotated to B, come chase me. But on the other front, Ku's saying, I'll just wait for you to plant. So no need to get too out of hands there. And that will put Ku up to 8-3. And Los Pepes right back into the lead.
Yeah, it's one of those big brain moments that unfortunately doesn't end up coming through. And Ku having a great game so far. We're going to see an aggressive B defense and a relatively paused push out of Pepe's. A couple of adjustments here from both sides. Pepe's happy to let Hot Tub Meta come towards them on this one. It's going to instead be a split defense. Los Pepes haven't decided where the bomb could go. It could easily go either side from here, and I think they're just going to look for that bit of information, maybe get a pick, but we head into our final minute. No real progress anywhere, and at some point, they've got to make a decision.
This almost feels like a bit of trepidation just off of how the first blood engagements have gone in the last couple of rounds. Just don't give up for an early first kill. Let's get our playbook active and actually execute as a full four-man. To frag. Feeling a bit of pressure, tosses a Semtex out, doesn't catch anything off of that, but he's got help from behind, and I was going to say, Fusion's going to run right into about 3 waiting members for Hot Tub Meta. Trophy system keeps the Semtex safe. That's actually pretty massive. Nolson can get on towards the site because of that. Not going to be able to stop the bomb from being planted, but at least finds the exit of Ku, and now Joe, as he's spread information on where another member of Los Pepes is positioned, he'll back up, wait for the reset, and go into a 2v2 from here on out with 30 seconds to play. And the question mark is, how do you reaggress upon this? Because Abuza and Torres are just kind of playing opposite TV monitors here. And one of them's going to have a pretty free look at the bomb. It's being stuck, but the easy chow comes through in Los Pepes. Late hit, but works out nicely for him to go up now 5-3 on map point.
It does indeed. Abuza might not have had a great game so far, but he reads this absolutely perfectly. And I loved that setup there. It allowed them to get back and get a wider view of things, make sure there was no real surprises coming in from Hot Tub Meta. And we can talk all we want about how Los Pepes looked weak in their S&D and Hot Tub looked great in theirs, but currently Hot Tub have all the work to do. 3 rounds needed on the bounce. Otherwise, Pepes go up 2-0. This is massive right here.
First blood good for Abuza. Aggression coming through for Los Pepes. It does get responded to, though. Defrag takes 2 down, but he wants a 3rd and finds it. Nolson behind. I was going to say a supporting role, but he actually takes the leading script on this one as he finds, I think, 3 total in the round, but at least the last 2. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Maybe even using his teammate as a bit of cannon fodder in front of him. And That'll be good to extend this map a bit further, but still you got to keep in mind it is map point for Los Pepes as they go over to the next offense.
They do. They keep that map point in the bag. Absolute Hail Mary of a round. I think that was over in about 20 seconds flat, and we are not going to get another one here. So it's an aggressive defense again out of Hot Tub Meta, but Pepe's instead going to play for a bit of mid-map pressure. You've got a Boozer posted up, and he wins a first blood. That's what he needed to change. He's been pretty poor at it so far this game, and that is important right there. That's what he needed to make happen. Great stuff out of him. Now where do they go?
I love this from Defrag. I was about to say defensively, there's a lot of stress because that is an opening AR and you cannot have 0 in 2 places at once. So Defrag is going to try to flirt with danger and oh my goodness, doesn't miss a bullet on Deku at extreme length. So that's the bomb carrier that is fallen for a moment. And obviously beyond that, Los Pepes are going to have some consideration for what's on the flank, but they still stick for a plant. 3v3, Fusion. Timing, not good. Joe, Defrag, simultaneously finding kills, and it's just Don to Torres. And we already know that he loves to check tickets inside the train. Will this be read or even checked from Hot Tub Meta again? Again, for Torres, he's going to have to check for the defuse. Timing here, not bad, doubles up. He should have seen the third on the bomb, but doesn't check it. Joe gets off for just a moment. 17 seconds on the clock. This would be a 1v3 for Torres. Goes to check. Joe, gonna throw some shots. Has to chase him down with the pre-fire. Oh my goodness, the 1v3. And Los Pepes find their 6th round and go up 2-0 in the series.
What just happened? Like, what is that? I mean, why did they... I mean, I know we've asked this question already in the Pro League this year, but why is it that when teams are in 1v whatever situations, do they intend to stack in the same corner together? Like, what on earth was that? Hot Tub Meta looked like they'd done everything right. I actually wasn't initially impressed by Defrag's decision to come back from that flank and instead collapse with his teammates instead. However, it looked like it had paid off. It's great. 3v1 scenario. This is golden. Don't worry about it. They put themselves in the same corner and get pieced. I mean, look, it's frustrating me. It's got to be frustrating them.
It has to be. I mean, we just got done framing up that for HTM, when we were watching them play against the Originals, you have to feel like Search and Destroy is going to be their bread and butter on the season. A very good collective group of 4, but not the case to help them against the Originals in map 5. Not the case here to even find a map so far versus Los Pepes. We've got ourselves a 2-0 lead here for Los Pepes. Again, we were initially watching Amelia Strays go up against Team WaR. That one, a very definitive 3-0. And still ongoing. Again, the mainstream is still active. They are currently watching over the Originals playing up against Mavericks, in which the Originals find themselves up 2-1 in the map count. And then elsewhere, Elevate and Orglis playing off stream. Also a 2-1. But favoring Elevate. So we'll be sticking with this matchup throughout its completion. It's going to be, I believe, it looks like a Garrison hardpoint coming up next for us. And, well, I'll tell you, if you're finding this much value with the SMGs for Los Pepes, you have to be feeling really confident about going into this Garrison control.
No, absolutely. Like, they've been absolutely brilliant so far. Torres there making that start play. And you've got to think as well, how hype is that chat right now? Everyone's got to be very excited, and if your SMGs are feeling hot, there's no better place to be than Garrison getting involved in that mixer up and around the tanks and so on and so forth. So for me, I think that we've got to see more come out of Hot Tub Meta in terms of stepping it up and answering back. They certainly have the quality, and as we go in here, it will be Los Pepes who start off on the favored defensive side.
And I'm just really curious to see what the off-the-rip setup is going to be for Hot Tub Meta. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of teams kind of adapt the Atlanta phase strategy of let's get high ground control no matter what it costs us live-wise. Not the case here for HTM. Playing this one a little bit more orthodox, just through the platform and through dark, but the opening engagements, not all that favorable for really either side. And initially, you would say the 2-for-1 is good for Hot Tub Meta, but the position of the kills not at least large enough to get some progress over towards B. So Los Pepes battle back off their second live, still keeping the B zone contested, but Fusion cannot find the double up, and that means that Nolson can stall the clock and make a little bit of progress on the B zone.
I do like this out of 0 as well, by the way. Just lurking around top green in case a Boozer decides to push on through. The gunfight will go down, and this is a huge one. This is AR against AR. He's wielding an SMG, but that's a massive gunfight right there because this now puts Pepes into a position where they have to decide either or, and surely it is going to be A. Defrag's already here. He usually runs an SMG. He's currently running an AR, so everything's up in the air right now. The B cap should indeed come through. Torres is trying to get themselves back into A control. They do have it, but that is perfect from Hot Tub Meta. 0 there with a 200 IQ play. What's just happened?
Ku is just, I'm telling you, man, these Los Pepes SMGs have more finesse in them than, I don't even know. I can't even make a close comparison, as that looked like it was an imminent third tick of progress coming through. I mean, Zero's play you thought for sure was enough to get Hot Tub Meta forward, but a little bit of extra time has killed off the clock, and for a second there, if Zero doesn't stay alive, you thought maybe there would be a full depletion of the third tick, but Hot Tub Meta, they keep things under control for now. They're going to have a little over 1:30 to play, and they have a 2-life lead as we look over towards this A zone.
Well, indeed. We're talking about those SMGs and what we wanted them to do, and Defrag getting up close and personal gets a bit over aggressive. There was no need really to fly out there. He will be cut down, and it's another reset. Hot Tub Meta will spawn all the way back, and the trades will come through, but trades are not enough here. If you want to get A, you need to get that big break moment. You need to wipe them out, and Abuza's just going to watch that wide flank. Again, more trades. This doesn't really favor them. So Los Pepes probably feeling good right now as we go in towards our final 60 seconds. Everyone's even, and considering how many kills are going down right now, this might end up being a life thing rather than a time thing.
Yeah, very well could be. I just don't want to see Hot Tub Meta try to play off that too much, because, I mean, let's be honest, 50 seconds is not going to be enough to get 12 kills, you feel like, especially with how cheeky Los Pepes are playing. I mean, you've got Fusion just staying alive through vents, changing up his angle. Ku is there to try to help finesse, and this is what we're talking about. We talk about the idea of the SMGs just playing through the middle of the map. It doesn't have to be collective. They could just kind of dance around, find an engagement, back up, and kind of force Hot Tub Meta to go chasing. And that has been enough to take what was a 1:30 plus down to just 22 seconds here for Hot Tub Meta on their final 6 lives to attack. And Defrag is going to go the long way around through lights, which, unless there are kills from the front, there will not be enough time for him to make this play as the catalyst for success. Time will be stalled for a moment, but Defrag falls in the back, and it all falls really onto Joe here, as him and Nolson are trying to do what they can to keep the play up, but there's just not enough time.
There really isn't. Joe will go down. Wow. Torres, by the way, ending that round on a 5 streak. That could be important because streaks are really good at when it comes to capping A. This is a difficult map to get an attack on. It's not as difficult probably as Checkmate, but it's certainly not up there with Raid. And this A site is extremely difficult to break down. You need to get some clean wipes, and a set of streaks would come in very, very handy for that, for setting up a very big attack hit. So it's worth keeping an eye on him as we go into this next one and seeing if he does manage to put them together. I'd expect his team to be flying around. Look at the even spread, by the way, from Los Pepes in terms of kill contribution. Absolutely.
It just another thing to kind of keep in mind is for Los Pepes is how active they are around the objective, even from the defensive side. I mean, 7 and 4 for Torres, but he's made 10 plays around the objective, which is incredible. So now on the offensive side, Los Pepes, again, just taking brute force right over towards B. Joe and Defrag working through the middle of the map. They've done all right so far, but at a certain point, you've got to come back to the B zone. First tick of progress is already gone. Joe's going to be the only one to really touch this, and I love this diligence. Ku's going to back up, knowing that Torres can stall the clock at A, and this forces a lot of decision-making into Hot Tub Meta's hands.
It does indeed, and I don't know if I agree with Torres even diving off it for a second. He will pick up a kill, fair enough, and he's just going to continue to force questions here of Hot Tub Meta. Unfortunately, though, you can see the Defrag has managed to get super aggressive and gets all the way forward. So that huge play out of Torres actually won't amount to anything. And you feel like such a difficult map where attacks are very, very hard to pull off. You needed that moment to be capitalized on. And unfortunately for Los Pepes, Hot Tub Meta answered it perfectly.
I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. I mean, he finds streaks and a tick of progress at A single-handedly. So, I mean, I think in those situations for Los Pepes, you take what you can get. Ku finding 0 from behind after unfortunately taking down Fusion means that this A zone is now the only target left, as B has been completely finished. And with streaks in hand, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, might as well use them here. Work your way on. There go the artillery strike call-ins. Here comes the contest. First engagement, good for Abuza as he goes 12 into 7. And for Hot Tub Meta, I mean, they're going to be, again, relying on Nolson on the long flank. He doesn't have time to make this play. You've got to move quickly, and unfortunately doesn't even get there. And now it's all on the shoulders of Joe. He's trying to run around the back of the SAT truck, in which he runs right into the waiting arms of Fusion, who is now actually the last Pepe's member to stay alive. And how many sticks have we seen from Fusion? He's even going to maybe almost find one more, but Zero eventually wins the gunfight. Torres playing through tires. That will be where the hit stalls for now, as Ku is trying to work his way on, find some success. Abuza for the double, and Los Pepes, they're going to take this A zone and go up 2-0 in the control.
Very, very well executed there. For a second, it looked like it had gotten all away. They hadn't managed to capitalize on that great early play, but it shows just how dominant they were when we then saw 2 or 3 really good plays come in through. We're going to see a lovely little play here out of Zero, but clearly, at the minute, the SMG fight, the thing that we initially highlighted, is being won by the Los Pepes side. They look very good for it. You end up with an SMG on streaks on Garrison, by the way. So just showing how much they're running away with things. And if I hate to point out individuals, but Joe, you are 6 and 15 right now, sir. We need to be seeing more out of you if your boys are going to avoid a very quick sweep.
Unreal. Oh my goodness. Joe up top, first blood. Okay. This is a good fringe for success. Joe even running forward, taking care of Torres, means that now you can stack for this first tick of progress. Play from behind, denied as Fusion falls. So now it's not just one tick of progress. It very well could be a second, but keep an eye on Zero's position. He will surely know that Abuza is playing onto the A site, but if he wins a 1v1 off screen, that could be progress at 2 sites at once. And, well, the kills for Hot Tub Meta, convincing. Now, Zero makes his move, backs down by Abuza. So this will be the B zone gone, but as Defrag makes his play around the back, caught with the stun out, means that there is still an opportunity for Hot Tub Meta to quickly rotate over towards A. The problem is the kills are not quite there, and Los Pepes a chance to set up a defense.
Chance to set up indeed, and that's what they needed, a little bit of breathing room there. For a second, it looked like it could have gotten away from them. Hot Tub Meta have come out with some fire at the start of this round, but is it too late? Because they're asking a lot of themselves. They've got to go 3 rounds on the bounce, and suddenly with this setup starting to try and be put into place, it becomes a really hard task just in this round. Defrag's going to try and get aggressive here through mid. Will fall though, and everything is red. Everything is Los Pepes, and suddenly the life advantage that Hot Tub Meta did have has gone away. You do still have 90 seconds, but you feel like you need a big play sooner rather than later because there's not a single bit of progress.
It almost feels very similar to what we saw in round 1, where, yeah, Hot Tub Meta had to be a little bit more scrappy through the B zone, but as soon as they found it, there was no barrier to ever get over towards A. Ku, aggressive. Hello. Not going to find the kill on Joe. He almost stepped on his head there for a second. Fusion, almost the exact same acrobatics to make the play happen. Finds one, but denied. So now a chance for Defrag to step onto the A zone. And once more, I mean, you could see what Los Pepes are doing. They're going to be waiting for Torres to make a play through the middle of the map, making sure that Hot Tub Meta are always still paying attention to where he could potentially be. And, well, the SMGs once more for Los Pepes just taking over. And it has put Hot Tub Meta into a place where they are playing so uncharacteristically slow because they're always feeling they have to search for that 4th player that's floating around the middle of the map.
They do indeed, and it's the SMGs are just loving it right now. They're able to get into look. We can see it. We're on board here with Ku, and this is so frustrating to play against because you've got so many different little angles to check and corners and places where you just don't know if they might be there, and they're just going to clear it out time and time again. And whenever it looks like the Hot Tub Meta might get themselves into some sort of power position, the SMGs are on top of them immediately to try and cut it down. And that's no mean feat, by the way. The SMGs on Hot Tub Meta are Defrag and Joe, both players who've been at the top end of European Call of Duty for a very long time.
Well, this could potentially be last hope, and it falls on to Defrag and Joe. So couldn't have set it up better. Kills looking pretty solid. This was a 2v multiple situation that they've survived through, and now it's a 5v7 overall in total lives. Up top, Tor is not able to find the shots onto Zero, so now it's not only the clock that's becoming a problem, but also just the threat of a 4-man stack maybe coming through. 3rd tick of progress on the way. Fusion does find a couple eliminations, but now Torres has to slide through to try to chill and touch, but he could not get there in time. And the last attempt from Hot Tub Meta, you talk about Joe and Defrag, they pop up at the exact right moment to keep this map going.
They do. I called them out for it. I needed to see more from such a good duo, and they stepped up when it was very important to do so to avoid the 3-0, not only in round count, but in map count as well. They've still got 2 rounds to go that they need to put together back to back, and we saw how good Los Pepes looked when they took their previous attack round. So I'm not going to call it just yet, but it looks like we could indeed end up going to a game 5. Will we be treated, or are we going to see Los Pepes SMGs continue to bully their team forward? Big mid hit coming through from both sides.
Yeah, this is going to be a really important opening engagement. Joe, down low. Oh. Up close and personal with Torres. A little meet and greet going on in the vents. Coop, still feeling like he can make this play happen. Finds one. Pre-fire, decent, but Abuza's there for the trade. So everything results in essentially neutral status across the board. Abuza will actually threaten forward by stalling the clock and making a little bit of progress over towards the first tick. But Zero, who relinquished the A side in order to play for the high ground, tagged him up on the way through. Nolson trying to do the finishing work, but it's going to be Defrag and Joe that have the final word. And defensively, Hot Tub Meta in a very strong position, and realistically, the furthest forward position we've seen the defense get to so far in this garrison.
Yeah, indeed. This is the first time I feel like we've seen this spawn blender kind of approach come into things, and this is good for Hot Tub Meta, who do need to answer back. Nolson's going to get that cleanup in dark and allow him to get pushed down. Look at Zero's position, by the way. He's all the way across the other side of the map. Somehow loses a gunfight. Okay, it was to a Boozer for a second there. I thought it was to an SMG, but it's all right. He just puts them into a spot where they're just running into gunfire. And as we enter the final 30 seconds, there's no progress on either side. And all of a sudden, that game 5 that we were talking about might well be here a bit sooner than anticipated. Torres, the last alive, he falls down in 15 seconds. I think we're pretty much there. I think we're pretty much into that final gauntlet.
Yeah, it's sure feeling that way. Round 5, only a matter of time before we see it, it looks like. Hot Tub Meta just not giving up a single inch, and yeah, Los Pepes kind of doing the same thing that we saw them do when they were playing up against Team WaR in the Checkmate, where they just wanted to essentially just make sure the lives did not become the deciding factor of what happens for round 5. But great offensive round from the side of Hot Tub Meta, salvaged, and then I would say more convincing at the end of it all, but defensively the best round we've seen so far. So if there were ever a chance for Hot Tub Meta to walk away on top, it could very well be right here, as they actually do find the favor to spawn defensively in. So Los Pepes need to find a way to replicate what they had in round number 2, which was their first attack, and both of their offenses so far have been heavy stacked over towards B. That seems to be the case once more, as we continue to see all 4 members focus their attention that way.
We do, and it's Joe and Defrag who really needed to step up. And as I call it, they both get those opening kills. Defrag actually might put 3 together on the bounce. He does. He also has the artillery streaks coming through, while Zero has managed to get up through the ammo armory side of the map and is just going to pin Los Pepes into a single file. And at worst, he plays informationally, which he will go down and call it. So suddenly, although Los Pepes have managed to get pressure onto B, and I think Hot Tub Meta actually are playing a little bit scared in the sense of they do not want to risk any A loss. So they're just going to chalk up B completely pretty much and reset, go again, and trust themselves, as we've got a relatively even life count and 1 whole zone to go. Nearly 2 minutes in which Los Pepes can do it. They can do this. They really can.
Yeah, it's super doable, that's for sure. 23 playing 23 still, but Fusion are on the back on 4. Sees the 5th, takes a couple of tag shots, not gonna be enough for the kill. Zero needs to keep the spawn safe. And good help from Defrag. But will they expect Abuza? Ah, they sure do. Okay, so now all of this attempt from Los Pepes has been denied. These last 2 players in the form of Torres and Ku are just gonna have to keep their lives, but they're really not able to do it for all that long. So again, Hot Tub Meta bounce back defensively and puts a lot more pressure on the Los Pepes, as they've already cleared off about 40 seconds worth of time.
They have, and it's these long plays, they can be extremely effectual, but if they don't pay off, they are daggers to the amount of time you have in which to work. And Abuza here is actually going to pick up Defrag wide, and this is going to allow a big brick hit. They're going all the way around the back, and if this isn't read quickly, trades though coming in through, and that's a big gunfight right there. It's still a trade situation, and you will have Nolson, who's still around the point, still smelling around, trying to keep his team from losing complete control. But you feel if he does fall here, all 4 players all ready to go, this could be the moment.
Very well could be. Streaks coming down. And it will find one. But Ku, mid-map, he's able to find one elimination to keep Brick safe. One more. Right in front of him, he finds the kill as well. Nolson, he thought maybe he had the first shot in. Another one crosses Ku's path. After he gets the regen up, he can keep this play up and going. He's also on 4 in a row, but surviving largely through the streak means that Los Pepes can get up to the high ground once more. Shot punch not going to connect as Zero keeps his life and then finds a double. One more up top, not going to be good with the pistol. And Ku and Torres not just finding 2, they're going to grab 3. Clock will stall, 12 will play 10, and the first tick of progress will be good for Los Pepes.
It will, and Ku is also, by the way, millimeters away from his artillery barrage that could come in massive. Never mind, Joe's going to kill everything in sight with that grenade, and they are millimeters away from seeing this one out. Torres will get 1. Torres will get 2. Oh. Absolutely huge. Has he sealed it off right here? Defrags the nearest player within touching distance, and they have done it, Shift. They have seen out another attack round on Garrison to take the series 3-0.
And Ku, I think he actually does earn that artillery strike because the second tick of progress comes through. You mentioned it, he was a sliver away from earning his streak, but gets denied, be thought by Semtex. But we have to always remember that close to streaks, that little bit of extra score you get for finding success, capturing the zone was enough. So Torres gets 2 kills. The artillery strike plays enough of a supporting role, and Los Pepes will 3-0 Hot Tub Meta after finding a map 4 win versus Team WaR in dramatic fashion and rewrite the book, because we very well could have another favorite here starting to crop up in Los Pepes.
We could indeed. I think that the big thing, I've circled back to it quite a few times. First of all, they've played 5 respawns tonight and won
everyone
5 of them. So they are not, they're not edging things. They're not relying on some kind of special play or tactics, whatever. They're just playing really good Call of Duty, as you need to at this level to take that many respawns in a row. But also, it's just that mentality side of things. This is Garrison control. This is a difficult map to go and take any sort of attacks. They do it twice against a very good team, clutching up at big moments when they need to. I can't even begin to count the amount of times where we're like, Ku's just made a ridiculous play. Torres just made a ridiculous play, and over and over and over again. And they, as you said, rewrite the book. They look good.
Unbelievable stuff. Los Pepes 2-0 start. Hot Tub Meta 0-2 start. That'll be met alongside Team WaR, who's also 0-2. And then just kind of other things that are happening around at the moment. Looks like everything is completed. Mavericks have beaten the Originals in 5. Elevate takes down Orglis in 4. So yeah, the day is done for Europe so far. And well, it's Elevate 2-0, Los Pepes 2-0. Those are your top 2 teams at the moment. Unbelievable to think of. Everybody else 1-1 or 0-2. So wow, quite a weird start to the day, that's for sure. But hey, this is going to be one of those groups that I think it's going to be very difficult to make predictions happen just because of how many new faces that we have. We continue to talk about the fact that for teams like Los Pepes, they find themselves, top 32 seed largely. That means you're always playing up against one of the top 2 teams week after week in these opens and the cups, maybe even again in the qualifiers, but they get their way earning their keep and realistically cementing their keep now as well with the performance they had today. But with that in mind, we will be saying essentially farewell to Europe and then looking forward to North America, which will be happening about an hour and a half to come back to. But before we say our farewells, I want to get your final thoughts, Enigma, before we see you tomorrow.
Well, I think final thoughts have to go towards Los Pepes. They've been absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's great to see time and time again, European Call of Duty continues to produce really high-end talent. And we're showing that with no short supply of that. The new side coming in and punching their way straight to the top. So it's great to see. I'm really looking forward to more Call of Duty. And I'm sure I'll catch some of the NA stuff later on, and I really can't wait to see all the stuff that goes down there.
Well, again, we'll be back in an hour and a half to get in with the North American region, the streams that we plan, or the matches we plan on streaming rather, Easter versus LAG Academy, and then the System versus Easter will be our 2 main focuses throughout the evening. It'll be a fun night, a lot to learn about a lot of new faces as well in North America, so we hope to catch you back for that in just an hour and a half time. But if we don't see you until tomorrow, hopefully keep holding it down, and we'll see you then.
me.